Hello, what's up to the tastiest podcast around in the animation community, Castoon. This is a packed podcast and a special one. I am joined here with my co-host Shadow Streak, as well as returning co-host Awestruck Vox from the Roundtable, and new co-host SliceOfOtaku. How are you guys today?
I'm doing good. Great to be back.
I'm good.
I'm pretty good, man.
I know, and the way we're going to be releasing this is going to be like you, and then no, and then you. So it's kind of like setting up a pattern.
Well, let's just assume everyone loved me on the first one, so I'm glad I had such good reception, everybody listening.
Yeah, everyone's hyped for it. But also SliceOfOtaku. For anyone who doesn't know about you, you should explain what your channel is for them.
All right, so mostly on my channel, I do a lot of Steven Universe and just cartoons that I care about, which are ones with continuity and plot, anything that I really like, anime, all that stuff. So yeah, I make theories.
So you also do a lot of
discussions.
Star Versus.
Yeah, love Star, but I've been slacking on it a bit, but I've gotten back to it now.
All right, when did you start? When did you start SliceOfOtaku? Unless you had like a previous channel.
I started in, I think it was October 7th of 2016. And I just felt like making a video on Steven Universe because I had just binge watched it, and then it just picked up.
So when you started off your channel, were you serious, or were you just like posting videos like on and off? Like when did you like get serious about making this into a big thing, like a big channel?
I think I'm relatively serious about anything that I do, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I came at it wanting it to be of quality, to be good, but I never really thought about the views all that much. It just kind of happened. I just wanted to talk about it, and people gravitated towards that. So it kind of just got big on its own.
Now, I remember on the last podcast that it was me, Vox, and Shadow. We were talking about how there is a subgenre within the animation community, the Steven Universe community, who talk mainly about Steven Universe. And Vox was saying like it should be like just the animation community, like it shouldn't be separated.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think I've ever I genuinely haven't ever considered myself to be a part of the cartoon community at large. And that's not to say anything's wrong with that. It's just like I have never like boxed myself in, because I feel like when you say cartoon community, that means I can't talk about anime. Yeah. And I'm kind of like SliceOfOtaku, so that's weird. With this community, if I am a part of the cartoon community, then I've been like welcomed with warm arms from everyone in my stratosphere, like Steven Universe and such. Maybe there is a separation that we've implemented for ourselves, but I mean, I'm open to being a part of this community. I don't care either way. I'm just doing what I do.
Yeah, I respect that, because I have seen your channel on the side of people that I'm subscribed to, like Swaggy Thunder, for instance.
That's my boy.
He talks about Steven Universe a lot. So, and there's also others like Rose's Universe. They talk about Steven Universe mainly. So it kind of does feel like a section of the community that focuses on like very specific shows like Steven Universe. Even though you would go out and do other things, it kind of does seem like it would still be like a subgenre,
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit unfortunate because, not everyone likes Steven Universe and all of the stuff that's in it. It kind of isolates us from everything else. I think because we like it so much, the people who really like it come towards that. They just really enjoy that. So it works out in the sense that we're not doing like variety content, but we're tailoring ourselves towards what really hits home with people.
Yeah, what you're passionate about, you double down on that.
Exactly. It's all about the passion.
So when did you get into anime? Like even before YouTube?
Anime has always been in my life. Like I remember my older brother just watching Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball on television. And so I just observed that.
Yeah.
But what really like made me become really interested in anime was like Naruto. I had an older kid introduce it to me, and like it had just started airing on Cartoon Network or Toonami. I don't remember which one it started with, but he had introduced it to me on YouTube, like AMVs and such.
Yeah.
So I was watching like stuff from like, Japan was airing at the time. So it was like Naruto versus Sasuke. And I was like, this is crazy. It was just like blowing my young mind. I'd gone from like, little simple cartoons like Ed, Edd and Eddy to this. And I'm just like, what? So it just, I don't know. Ever since, I've just been super into anime.
So if you were like to someone who hasn't seen your channel, like what would be like a great video or playlist to start off with? Like what's one of your what would you think is one of your best works or something that if by watching that video you will understand what that channel is about?
Okay. So I go really in depth. If you want to learn about Steven Universe more, I have like a Steven Universe Explained series which I go in depth with. In terms of getting to know me better, I have certain like, I guess, sentimental videos, like the comparison of Pearls on Homeworld to slavery, Pad Paracha Sapphire being a representation of special needs, Pink Diamond supposedly shattering herself, like that being a common thing people talk about, where that's like a bad representation of like suicide. It's just like the personal stuff, I'd say. You get the gist of the kind of person I am.
I would even say the sorry, I didn't care. I would even say the one you did with Michaela was also a pretty good one.
Oh yeah. Actually, that is you got me. That's definitely like it. That was one of the most important videos to me, just because like I was able to say certain things to someone who's able to relate on my channel. So it was great. It was great. Like you relate to the character and then the voice behind the character. It was just surreal.
Yeah, for anyone listening who doesn't know, I'm referring to Michaela Dietz, who voices Amethyst on Steven Universe. Slice did a video of her when we were at Federator, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's something people should check out if you got like when you get to know Slice, because it ties back to like both him and Michaela's personalities, but also ties back into the show. So like you get to know someone more while exploring the character more, as he was saying.
For sure, that's the homie, man.
So I see you also do leaks, and I remember quite a while ago, probably around this time last year when there were other leaks, a lot of people had a problem because when people would make the thumbnail of the video, they would show something like spoiling something. How do you feel about people who do that? Like, have you ever had like a friend that did that or something?
Yeah, I definitely have friends in this community or subsect of the community who kind of post the leaks within the thumbnail and the titles, and I think that's their prerogative. Like they can do what they want if they really want to. It does upset people. There was a point with my channel where, because it was just for me having fun, I didn't cover leaks. Like I didn't want to touch that because I wanted to enjoy it when it actually came out. I had stumbled upon like people just when one of the Steven bombs leaked out more than it should have. Only one episode was supposed to come out, but like 5 game. People were like posting in the thumbnails like actual clips of just stuff happening, and it was just like, that's a bummer. I'm not even home. I can't like I'm not gonna watch this. And then I felt obligated to watch it because if I had already seen stuff of it over and over again. I've shown certain things within my thumbnails, I think, if I can remember correctly. Especially like with that, I was just like, whatever, everyone's doing it, let me just do it. But I've come to the point now where I don't want to do that. I just put like the most basic background with something that kind of represents something on the thumbnail, just giving you a general gist of what you might possibly see from this.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I'll make my title super just like all caps and weird, like just excitement if it is exciting, just because I don't usually do that. So it kind of just separates the content, I think, and just gives a different perspective going in.
Now, I remember I was talking to Vox. I don't know if it was on or off the podcast, and he was talking about how because of the direction he took his channel, he was able to do other things like with Federator and stuff like that. With you being like with you doing things in the Steven Universe lane, has like has anything extraordinary happened to you, like meeting certain people that are like on the team or anything like that? Because like I'm pretty sure like you're a big YouTuber. You're as far as our community goes, there isn't a lot of people who are above 100K. So
speaking of that, that's kind of wild to me. Just stepping in recently, relatively recently, and being at this quote unquote height is like, whoa, it's weird, but it's cool. In terms of extraordinary things happening, I think that the cool things that have happened to me, like beyond the microphone, have been with Vox, like going to these conventions and just meeting people. I think that's like one of the greatest things, like actually meeting the people who my videos, like who really like my videos and say that my videos touch them. Like that's surreal, truly surreal. Like it's it's kind of addicting. Like I want more of that. I want to make people happy any way, shape, or form, any way that I can. Like just on a grand scheme, I just want to do it bigger and bigger. Thing about me is I'm kind of rigid with certain things. Like I do not like signing documents in terms of like networks and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of unnecessary in the current scheme of YouTube. Not to belittle anyone who is with the network, and like there are networks who really do help people. Like Frederator is one example of people, like a network that actually helps its creators, especially in this community. And I do appreciate that, especially what they've done for Vox and what they continue to do for him. But personally, I like flying solo with things. I like being in control of what I do.
I feel like you and Vox should sell the idea of a con, because I haven't went to one, and you guys seem to talk about them quite a bit. So like just to me and anyone else, any other reviewer who hasn't been to a con, like what's it like?
All right.
Wait, should you start? Yeah, you'll start.
All right. So my first con happened last year, MomoCon actually. I went with Vox, and I didn't know what to expect going in. I just knew that there were going to be cosplayers, there were going to be panels, and I would just see my YouTube friends in real life. And the thing that makes it so great is that people who like you get to see you, and you get to see them. And it's very different from interacting on Twitter or in the comment section, because it is a real life interaction. If I don't like what someone's saying, I can just outright avoid them on the internet. Like I can ban people from my comment section. Someone has something like they want to say directly to me at a con, I have to confront that. And that can be scary, but I've never had a bad experience with someone like that. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're a content creator. You get to meet the people who your videos are important to, and you get to meet other people who make videos. And it's just like networking. If you want to talk about it from a business perspective, it's smart to do, because you get to network with other creators and, you know, get to know them on a friendship level. And I don't know, it's really a great experience to have if you do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think with cons, especially as a content creator, you get a little bit of everything. You get to meet people who, well, depending on the con, like, you know, for MomoCon, the Sewer voice actors were there. I also know some Overwatch voice actors were there. And I haven't played Overwatch, but I know, like, Mackenzie's into it, Slice is into it.
Yeah, I wasn't even into it at that time, but now I'm like, damn, I wish.
And, like, so, like, you have, because usually, you know, cons try to get some celebrities of nerd status there. And, like, you get to meet people who are a part of this thing that inspires you or that you really enjoy. But then you also meet people who, guys like Slice who watch your content, who, you know, you are important to. Mm-hmm. So you get to live it both as like a fan, but also not like I don't want to come off like cocky, like a fucking hero, but like kind of like you meet the people you inspire.
Personality.
Yeah. Like as a public figure, and just not even that, but like the atmosphere in general, it's just nothing but good vibes. Like
and at that, cons can be different. There are different cons, like New York Comic Con. If you're expecting to be like one of us and recognize and all that stuff, like it doesn't happen as frequently. It's just like it's a cluster. It's
hectic.
It's messy. Yeah. Like I wouldn't recommend that to be anyone's first con. Like MomoCon is a lot more chill. You get to like link up with people, go out to eat and things like that. Like New York is not the place to be, you know, like we're busy. We're all moving. I can't speak for San Diego Comic Con because I haven't gone yet. This year is going to be my first year. But I can imagine that's even more hectic because an influx of actual news is coming out. So you're just like, you don't even really have time to socialize all that much. You're trying to get business done. So it's a lot.
Yeah, and with also cons, it's kind of like every it's like almost elements of all communities together. Like you have the cosplayers, but then with like the dealer's booth and everything, like the hall where people just sell art and stuff, you get to meet like artists, people who made this art. And like say, you get to meet content creators who make videos, and then you meet people who actually make the goddamn shows and movies and everything. It's just so nice because again, like no one really, you're not treated as insignificant, at least from my experiences. Like, you know, I don't think we've brushed off aside any viewers or anything, any fans of ours. And like when we met the serious voice actors, like they didn't even know us like that. Like even like when we met Zach Callison, granted, like we did introduce ourselves as friends of, you know, his friends, but like just how he interacted with fans, he didn't treat them like, oh, what do you want, an autograph? Like they talk to you, like they treat you like normal human beings, and that's something that's really nice.
Yeah, it's also good that they're not like in a different stratosphere as, you know, quote unquote celebrities. I think all people are just normal people who just, you know, are in the limelight, but they're just like mad chill. Like you just sit there and talk about whatever. Like when you go for autographs and things like that, you can just converse with them, you know, talk about stuff and just have a good time as if you know them as a friend.
Yeah, and like there's just something, it's just a really good feeling, like hanging out with all the people that you usually talk to over Discord or Twitter in person, like, you know, just hanging out with them, because it's something like you don't get to do every day.
Yeah, like eating pizza rolls with Vox is cool.
Well, actually, that's actually a great place to end that, because actually my next question was, how did you two meet? You, Vox and Otaku.
Vox handle that.
Well, for me, it, like literally, like I think a week or two after Slice uploaded his first video, appeared my recommended, and I really liked it. I just subscribed to him. I'm like, oh, I for some reason I just have a gut feeling with like most people I different content creators, like this guy's gonna like blow up one day.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I shout him out on one of my videos, and I don't know if he made a Twitter or Discord for Slice. I'm not sure. I can't remember which one we had contact first on.
It was Twitter, and then you told me like you have a Discord with people.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I had joined in on, it was like you guys had a live stream celebrating 100K, because that's when you first shouted me out with your 100K video, and I just like joined in on that live stream. I don't even think you really like paid attention all that much to me. I was, you know, I was still a small guy. I was just sitting there having a good time talking or whatever. But then after we spoke on Twitter, and then I joined the Roundtable Discord, and then there came the like content creator Discord. So it was just a series of events that led us to being friends.
Well, speaking of that, Otaku, have you had any like, I mean, if you don't have to say any names, but did you have any like negative experiences with other content creators on the platform? I mean, you've been on for a while, so
yeah.
I'd
say that like I've had, when I first started out, I put up a theory about like Black Diamond, which is like, you know, pretty out there. And there was another content creator, I won't say who it was, but I was I was met with like some animosity, and it was just like, wow. And they were, you know, relatively important in that stratosphere. So it was just like, oh, okay, this is how some people are, it seems. But, you know, it was fine after that. And otherwise, just like, you know, certain debacles within our own stratosphere, within our friend groups, but they all resolved themselves, because I can be a very hostile person when it comes to issues, like when I get crossed, I'd say. But I've come to realize how genuine the people that I know are. Even if they do make a mistake, even if they do come across a certain way, there's never been outright hostility or animosity towards me or anyone. Like, it's just honest mistakes and misconceptions and misunderstandings. So I've come to, you know, just roll with the punches and keep it pushing.
I get that, because I remember when I started out, I was mostly to myself for a very long time until I met one person, and then that kind of spiraled into me meeting more people.
Yeah,
so, I get that.
It's crazy, because when I first started, like, I had already become friends with a good amount of people. There's this artist who makes like Steven Universe fan art on YouTube, Kitsune Sakura. It just became like instantly we were just friends, like on Twitter, and we were going back and forth. We joined a Discord together, and that Discord ended up having Cartoon Universe, who are also prominent.
Yeah.
It was Haley, one half of Cartoon Universe. And I just met her, and then I met other people. They didn't really make YouTube videos, but it was along this journey that I got to meet them and become friends with them. So it was just like a very warm welcome. And I think that was like great. And I for anyone who's like promising or has any potential with this kind of stuff, I'd hope that they're approached with that same kind of open arms stuff, you know, just being
Hospitality, yeah.
exactly. Just
Almost at hostility there.
just being nice to them and being inviting, because we all just talk about cartoons on the internet. Come on, like
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
considering you do, and this is actually going to tie back into the other podcast we did with Vox. Considering that you do a lot of like theories and leaks with Steven Universe, how has like the community treated your channel? Because a lot of people consider that community to not be of the best quality. Fan
So
base.
it's funny. Like I didn't even when I went into this, I was thinking, man, Steven Universe is so positive and everyone's so nice in the show. This whole community is gonna be just like a whole like big hug. Everyone's gonna be nice. Lo and behold, apparently it's toxic. I didn't know that for a while. I try to spread positivity with my videos. Like at the end of every single video, I say like I love you, and that's like super cheesy and corny to a lot of people, which I understand. Like a lot of people have come to me saying that like that's exactly what they needed to hear at that time, and I want my videos to be an escape for people because you know lives can be hard. You know, you just want to sit back and enjoy something that you genuinely enjoy. Like if for my content, people who don't like Steven Universe aren't watching it. It's like super like my mom has tried to have her friends watch my videos, like put them on and say, "Oh, this is what he's doing," and they're just sitting there like, "His voice is nice." I mean, like they don't know what I'm
Like,
talking
they're not
about.
interested in the show. You know?
Yeah, it's like me speaking Klingon. You know, it's a whole different language. So because of that, I'm able to inject that kind of just positivity into it. Negativity doesn't really get to me. If there is negativity in my comment section, I block those people. I'm not afraid to roast anyone. It hasn't come to that, but I mean, it is what it is.
I get that. All right, moving on to we have 3 topics to cover under this Cartoon Network press release. I actually want to get into this one. This is probably the biggest one out of the 3. Infinity Train. It was announced and confirmed for 2019, I believe. Now, the thing I didn't, because I actually heard the aftermath of this. Was there like some sort of like deletion or something, like an accident or something?
Yeah, last Friday, an employee at Disney, a freelance. I don't think she works on the show, but you know, if you're in the industry, you're gonna find out other projects because you make friends who do the same job.
Exactly.
But she tweeted, "Oh, congrats on the Infinity Train for being greenlit," and it had like a little image that said like 2019 or something, and then I guess it was too early because she deleted it, but. Weirdly enough, like around the same time she posted that, Cartoon Network put up an Infinity Train website. So I don't know if it was the fact that she said too early or if she just thought she said too early. It's weird.
Yeah.
It got deleted. So like I was like shocked. I was like, oh my god, it was deleted. Like, was this a leak? Like, but it just seems like it was just a misunderstanding in terms of timing. She probably like maybe she like tweet decked it and had it like set to go off.
Yeah.
And it just happened. But like we all jumped on it. Like it was just like you can't like I tweeted out like you can't hide Cartoon Network. You can't hide this. And then like, the actual video came out.
I mean, I think we all knew it was coming. Well, one, like if you did like a simple like not Google search, but if you did like a 5-minute search, you would find that like people were posting that they worked on Infinity Train, their resumes and stuff. So you know.
I mean when like Apple and what's his name, Celery or whatever,
Onion.
When that
thing from Onion.
like no belittling, but like when that got the green light, I was like, okay, Infinity Train, we got this. Like that was like the most popular pilot like they've seen in a long time. Like this is their golden child.
Yeah, it blew up my feed.
I think that's the most popular pilot since Adventure Time's pilot. Like, bigger than the OKKO and Steven Universe, because it blew up way faster than any of them. It had more fan art than any of them.
For me, I think it's like, they have to recognize it to be bigger than Adventure Time in terms of the pilot, because the timing of Adventure Time coming out is radically different from the current scape now. Like, a lot of Cartoon Network, not Cartoon Network fans, but cartoon fans in general are, fed up and annoyed by certain practices and certain things that are popular right now. So this is kind of our chance to have what we want, and people are like gravitating towards that. You have content creators like us who are covering the show, just a pilot. All we have is a pilot, and we're just talking about it so much. We're so excited, and it's reflecting into the community. And it's just, we're all hoping so desperately for this show to be what we envision and what we want.
Yeah,
I think that's a very powerful thing right now. It's leading the way for what's to come. We are writing the history right now.
Yeah, I believe, Shadow, didn't you make a video on Infinity Train?
I did back when it first came out, and I actually discussed it in a video that I released today, ironically enough.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm honestly super excited for it, mostly because there's just like so much potential, and there's just so much they can do with the concept. Like just the fact that they can tell an overarching story, but they can still make these like mini stories contained to like each car, whether it's like solving a puzzle or meeting, life, like they did with Atticus and the Corgis. Yeah. Like there's just, it's such an interesting concept, and there's so much that you can do with it that it's like mind blowing.
There's nothing that you can't do.
Exactly.
There's nothing that you can't do. It's that's exciting because there's so much mystery behind it. Like with the pilot, what we got, we just like, what's going to happen? What's going on? Adding the mystery to the elements of just infinite possibilities. And on top of that, the characters are very likable. Like Tulip, she's actually well thought out, and she's calculating. She figures things out in such a intriguing way that she's one of those people where you want to hear them speak. You want to converse and understand what she's saying. And one is like, two personalities at once. So that confliction just makes it even more interesting. So I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and I mean, if the pilot is anything to go off of, this show could be downright hilarious, because like there are so many so many jokes that land in that pilot alone that it just makes me wonder, like the team behind this show could be extremely creative with what they do. Like
I remember that, I think that Owen Dennis working on or being the creator really helps, since he worked on Regular Show, and Regular Show is definitely one of the funniest Cartoon like series ever. Like even in like the all right seasons, it still had so many like landing jokes. Yep. I love that. I love Regular Show so much. So if any of that comedy is gonna carry over to Infinity Train, like it's a done deal. That's definitely gonna have a lot of like both good visual and dialogue jokes, and that's like the best kind of comedy when it's a mix of both.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like there was one Corgi joke that just like killed me when I first watched the pilot. I think she was just writing like stuff down as he was saying it. Yeah, that was superb. Like cartoons, I know a lot of them try to be funny, but it's sometimes they don't really like make me laugh outright. It's just like an internal laugh, like, oh, that's pretty clever. But this was just like, oh my god, it's just like such a, I don't know, it's just such an intellectual joke, I'd say. It's not like Rick and Morty, you have to have an IQ, whatever. But it's just like so, I don't know, it's just clever. It's like, wow, you guys did that.
The joke that killed me in the pilot was the one where Tulip tells Atticus to go outside, and he kind of just sits there and plays like, do I want to go outside? Do I want to go outside? And then he like runs. That one killed me when I saw it the first time. Like that's genius right there.
Yeah, like, it came out of nowhere, but it wasn't out of place at the same time. And wait, I literally forgot what I was about to say. It was related to Infinity Train. I don't know. Someone else talk.
Well, regardless of what the outcome is, I think a lot of us can say that Infinity Train's pilot was like masterclass. Absolutely. Like it was a masterpiece of a pilot. I can't think of any way they could have executed it better. It was just like, and there are a lot of pilots like being exposed now or that have come out.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one just, it wasn't the first of its kind. It wasn't the first to come out, but it's just not, I don't think any others are on that level of just like intrigue for fans. It's just, wow.
I think the thing with other pilots is that they have to sell the show, and like if they do want to incorporate a mystery element, they have to do it in a way that's kind of like that wraps up the conflict within the pilot itself. Infinity Train didn't do that. It played itself off as a first episode.
Yeah, exactly. It left you wanting more.
That's powerful. That's powerful. When that ominous like conductor thing came out, that's another thing. When I made my video, like I was just like fanning out with the comment section, and we were just like, the conductor, like that's such a badass name. Like, could you imagine? Like, just
I might be wrong, but I think the conductor's name is Stewart.
Yeah, it's something like steward or stewardess or something.
So
Yeah.
that's just cool. Like, I don't know. It's just like so anime to me. Like, it's just such a simple actual name. You just make it awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of how you said it played itself as a first episode, I've seen that comparison with like Nickelodeon. Like, Nickelodeon's been putting out a bunch of pilots recently on their page. And the way that they execute their pilots, I don't know. I don't really like it all that much because it just throws you into it. And it doesn't feel like inclusive. I don't know. It just feels like so abrupt. It's not trying to be an episode. It's just like an actual short, which they've done in the past, which is their usual formula. But I think they might need to adapt to the times.
Yeah, like they can't play it off as just like a self-contained adventure, but like a chapter in a bigger book. And that's, again, like Infinity Train, it threw you into, like, she's clearly been on this train for a while at this point. She's already like met 1-1 and everything, but they still set up like, all right, this girl's lost on the train. She doesn't know why this number's on her hand. Like, but without it feeling like this is your first time. Well, it's like your first time, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
It planted everything like really well.
Absolutely.
And you can just sit there and come up with so many things. Like, the moment it came out, there was already like a big theory video that came out for it. Just thinking about the simple things, like, oh, what does she eat? Like, she has to eat, to survive. So how many carts does she have to go through to get something to eat? That could be an entire episode where she's just like starving because every cart is just a bunch of farts or something. It's just so much that can be done. It's great.
Should we get into the not everything, but like some of the tidbits of information that came out from the video cartoon, like just posted before we start recording this with the 12 packs?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna jump around, but the first interesting tidbit was that the first episode, I'm assuming we're not talking about the pilot, but the actual first episode takes place in November, and they made a point of that, so I think that's gonna have some significance. Tulip's entire story arc and all the train cars has already been planned out, which is huge to me.
That is massive.
Because it shows that he has not only an end goal in mind, but a finite end goal. Like, this can't go on forever.
That's what I want in these shows. Like, I love Steven Universe, but I've been like strung along for so long, man. Like, it feels like we're not going anywhere with at a lot of points. But here we're being told we know what we're doing. We have it figured out. And to Steven Universe's credit, like, Rebecca Sugar says she has like the map planned out. But because of how that show is structured as a storyboard driven show, it's different,
Steven Universe is really weird because you think they have everything work out, but then like, and me and Les have talked about this before, but like the podcast really opens its eyes. Like, not today, but recently they did a podcast on Earth. Gems are related to Earth, like Rose, Bismuth, and Jasper. And they said Bismuth was not like, they knew there was going to be a gem named Bismuth, but when she appeared in Lion 3, they didn't have anything else planned for her character. Like, they didn't have anything figured out.
Okay, look, let me just preface this. I don't watch the Steven Universe podcast, even though I do Steven Universe content. And the reason for that is things like that just upset me so much. It just ruins it. Like, truly, I'd rather go on being in La La Land coming up with these theories than be told certain things that I've figured out from this podcast. Because it just like, man, it just feels like they're not doing anything. Like, and certain things, it's all right, so there was a separation between two characters, Lapis and Peridot, and they could have gone a lot further with it, where they say that Peridot is actually scared of Lapis when she outbursts. And that, to me, would just like empower the moment so much more and give us so much more to go off of. But they decided against it because it would go too much in favor of Peridot's, side. Yeah. When in actuality, it's like, you can't help that. If someone's like not right, you don't have to like make it so that both sides sound logical when one side is just being illogical, things like that. It just, it's so painful for me to hear, because the way in which I see the show with my theories and all that stuff, it's a bummer.
Yeah, because you want to believe that everything's planned out, because it's just like, wow, like, we're living in a really great time for storytelling, and then you just hear that, you're just like, oh well, like, I mean, I'm glad they're clever with it, but like, like, Seavers definitely does pull punches, especially with that what you were just talking about with Lapis and Peridot, and I mean, I think what they exactly said was Amber, the storyboarder, she said actually might have been Hillary. It was either one of those two storyboard episode. But it got all the way up to the storyboard pitch, so the storyboards were done at this point.
Yeah.
And Lapis was gonna ask Paradigm of their argument are like, "What are you afraid of me?" And the Cruniverse seemed that was like too intense to show, but like I don't feel like that was intense at all. Like,
come on, and even the simple things like when Lars dies, they made him resurrect in the same episode in like a couple of seconds. And I remember Zach Collison saying that like at MomoCon there was a moment that was coming up, which is this moment that actually made him cry. Like someone asked that question, and I was like, cry? Like, when do you have time for me to cry? Like he's literally up and running in like a few seconds. And they were going to split that. They weren't going to like have him die just there, but they decided against it. It's like, why? Let me feel something, and then the next episode you make me reassured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just hit me that I got two Steven Universe YouTubers on here. It hit me 20 minutes in. I'm like, whoa, we went from Infinity Train to Steven Universe.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I'm already deadly afraid to talk about the Return of Bliss. But before that, Victor and Valentine also confirmed as a full series.
Valentino.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, I plan to cover a lot of these newer shows coming up, even on Nickelodeon, like Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. We're just trying to get past Review 100, which is killing me right now.
Victor and Valentino, I actually said quite a bit about it in my video on 2019 shows to look out for. And I liked Victor and Valentino. I enjoy the premise. Like, I think it's really cool. It does apparently have a lot of traits of, Gravity Falls, but I think that it should be able to separate itself once it does have more to go off of besides like being confined to a pilot. It's interesting because I want to know more about these characters. I want to know about their lineage, and it has posed these questions, and it also ended off on a question like Infinity Train did, which I think is really cool.
Yep. I definitely see potential in Victor and Valentino as well. I remember from the pilot, that one was also actually pretty clever in some of the jokes that it pulled off with, like the El Chupacabra shopkeeper, for example. I thought that was pretty funny. I definitely think that once it has more episodes under its belt, it'll have its own identity. But right now, yeah, it kind of does seem like a Mexican Gravity Falls in a way. But I'm definitely...
Yeah, it's definitely the next Gravity Falls or Cartoon Gravity Falls. Yeah, I think like when we actually watch it, like, okay, this isn't like Gravity Falls with the premise. So.
Yeah.
And I hope that stigma doesn't follow it for too long, because like in terms of like anime, there's Black Clover, which a lot of people in the anime community have compared to Naruto, and for me at least, I think it stepped out and become like it's done things that Naruto was never able to do, things that I wish Naruto was able to do, and I think it's coming to its own, but it's perpetually in this circle of it's a Naruto clone. It's just like Naruto that people just don't let go. And I hope that Victor and Valentino is able to move past that, because that can really be a damper on, just what the show is able to do in terms of influence and all that stuff.
So the next show that will be, we have more information on the Return of Bliss. I remember it was put into the upcoming Cartoon Network of 2018 video, but we didn't have too much information the first time we covered it.
Yep. Well, we have a plot synopsis now, and it's interesting. Yeah, I found this on when I was on Tumblr 2 days ago. There's this one blog I follow, FlyPalby. He posted this news article which revealed the synopsis. Basically, Bliss comes back from outer space to protect the girls from the Spord, which is this space alien who can shapeshift. Bliss also falls in love and gets asked to the school dance by Logan. With a parasitic alien on the loose, the Powerpuff Girls have to find a way to stop it before the big dance. I have 3 things to say about this. 1, Logan is the alien. 2, did they learn nothing from Jared? And 3, I really cannot believe this show sometimes. Oh my gosh.
What really kills me is the synopsis really says the big dance.
Right? Right? Oh my gosh.
Wow, they're doing this.
Have they learned nothing from their past mistakes? Come on.
See, it's like, say what you want about the first Bliss special. I mean, like, it definitely wasn't the cream of the crop by any.
No.
Like, at least, like, they clearly, like, just did not care. Like they had an anime parody at some point, like a full like insert song. This just sounds like a generic like action. Like, I can see this happening in a Disney Channel show about like a teenage girl who's also like a spy. I think that was a show actually, but
that sounds
like
like
Impossible.
something.
It was like Impossible by live action, not as good. Casey Undercover, I think.
Yeah,
Casey
stop it.
With Zendaya, it actually ended like a few months ago.
Okay, I love her, but still.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a Disney Channel sitcom plot, and they're using it for the Powerpuff Girls of all things, their 20-year anniversary.
This is a 20th anniversary celebration. Yes.
Yeah.
This is their. Oh no. All right, to their credit, they had to do this Bliss thing because that's what got people talking about the show again. But man, like, I don't like her. I don't think she's necessary at all. I mean, I think that I just sounded like a hater when I talk about the show because it's just like, it's not my Powerpuff Girls, like that old grandpa type. But I don't know. It's just there's so little charm to it, and it's just so cookie cutter and cliche that it is. I mean, it's just a merchandising show at this point. Let's be honest. It's here to merchandise, and you have a new Powerpuff Girl, and that makes the kids go wild. Apparently.
Yeah. This is. I'm not too fond on this, but I guess we'll have to wait and see where it goes.
To be honest, with all the shows we mentioned, I'll attempt to look at it from an open mind. It's just that with the Return of Bliss, because of the first one, I know I watched it a little later than many people. I don't know. I haven't really been impressed with a lot of Powerpuff Girl episodes I've seen. And the thing is, it's not like in the it's not the quality isn't that good. It's just like it's not even that bad. It kind of a lot of the episodes I've seen have hit this level of it's either all right or not good, but I wouldn't rewatch it and I wouldn't even make a video on it. It's just like in that mediocre, bland territory.
I think the problem is they have, I don't even want to say great concepts. They have ranging from all right to good concepts, but the execution's just always off.
Like every time there's been something major, whether it's Donnie or Bliss or Jared or what have you, like there may have been good intentions, but it ultimately falls flat because the execution is all over the place. Sometimes it can be really bad, like the removal of Miss Bellum, which was a whole mess in and of itself.
I think they just try to play so safe that it comes across like weird. Like they're trying to be righteous in certain things that they've done. It's just like, dude, we don't care.
Even though there's shows around that are doing what they want to do much better.
Right. What trips me up about Miss Bellum is that like they removed her because of her sex appeal. Like they thought like wasn't a good image, but literally her character is the fact that she's like the brains behind town.
Exactly.
Sarah Bellum, bro.
And like then you look at Steven Universe, it's full of characters who are drawn with, I don't want to say with the intention sex appeal, but like Steven's characters are busty.
I mean, if
they're smart and independent.
I mean, if we look at how people on the internet view the characters, it's kind of but people who are watching Powerpuff Girls, like Miss Bellum was there already. Like you don't have to rewrite how the thing is to make it its own. Like all new Powerpuff Girls, I don't think that they should try to be too much like the original, but I think they should at least try to be good.
See, that's the reboot's like biggest flaw is like it's halfway in between its own thing and the original, and it can't figure out where it wants to go or what it wants to do. So sometimes it'll be like, oh, hey, remember this episode from the original? We're doing it again, only it's different, except it's different and it's worse in every single way. So
like that's why I credit Teen Titans
exactly.
Go. Like it's not trying to be like its old self, and I mean it makes fun of its old self. And I think that like that just works so much to its credit. Like they feed off of the negativity. Powerpuff Girls does not even benefit from the negativity in any way, shape, or form, as far as I'm concerned. It just like digs them deeper into a hole where they're just irrelevant.
It's literally gotten to the point where I think it's me and there might be one other person who's still talking about it, but other than that, nobody cares. So it's It's definitely on its last legs if it hasn't already fallen.
Oh,
It just
and
hit me.
the
The power of four. I remember when I was going back and forth with Shadow on the podcast, and we talked about how it took an afternoon for Saturn or whichever planet
Saturn.
they it took an entire afternoon for them to get here, but it's gonna take Bliss a long time to push it back. I don't know if they're just gonna completely drop that, because another problem with a lot of the reboots episodes that I've noticed anyway, although they have the big details that they want generally executed okay, it's the little details like that, like the fact that it got here in an afternoon, but it's going to take a long time for it to get pushed back. I don't know,
Well,
because I just remembered
That's
just
the thing with the
weird.
premise is it says that there's an alien from space, so I'm assuming the alien comes from space and Bliss is coming back to find the alien that landed on Earth. It was obviously Logan. Like you can't sit here and tell me it's not Logan. It's literally
And how
given away.
convenient the alien. How convenient the alien goes to Townsville and masquerades as an elementary school student.
I cannot believe.
I mean, it's a cartoon.
I
but,
cannot
like,
believe that they basically gave it away in the premise. Like they did, like, oh, not even a preview. They just, oh my gosh, like.
my thing, like,
so she's gonna keep exploding.
I hope.
And like Shadow, you review the reboot, so Logan has never appeared
No.
before, right? Like it would at least have been cool if it was like a student that appeared like at least a few episodes before.
What would have been better is if it was a character who was already established and the original was locked away somewhere and the alien shapeshifted and took over that person's role. Instead of this brand new character we've never seen or heard of before. It's like, you just gave it away. That's the alien.
So this is Bliss's second appearance, right?
Yes. Not counting the
and-
internet shorts, which, but
Okay.
yes, in the main series.
And so in her second appearance, she's going to a school dance. Does she go to school? Like,
No.
isn't she like older?
She's a
No,
teenager.
she pushed the planet.
Yeah. So whose dance is this? Like the kid, like the little
Well,
kids, her sisters.
That's the other thing.
That's another thing.
In this, yeah, that's another thing. In the show, it's a K through 12 school, apparently.
K through.
Yes,
Whoa.
it's all in
Yeah.
it's all in
Alright,
one
I don't-
school.
That's not a good
I
idea.
know.
All right.
I've gone into this before.
I mean, you got the Pop-Up girls. Whatever they could do.
Yeah, wasn't she like stranded on an island for?
Yeah, she was stranded
large majority?
on the wonderfully named Bird
Poop
Poop Island for 10 years.
So was there like a bird poop academy?
I don't know, I guess. I mean, she must have gotten her education from him because he was
I mean,
the
if
only
you
one
wanna
there
get
with
really
her.
dark. If you want to get really dark, because I mean, there was him, but when you don't have a lot of human interaction for that long, you kind of don't come back a sane person.
Clearly, she did.
How's that for a theory?
Wait, I just remembered. Didn't like the beginning, like the very first episode of that arc or TV movie or whatever you want to call it, had like Bubbles like, oh yeah, my friend Bliss, but she was like an imaginary friend or whatever.
Well,
She was invisible, and it
Yes.
never comes back
Yeah,
again.
she was.
yeah,
She was.
like what?
She can turn invisible, but it's only established in that one episode, and it's never mentioned again.
Wait, when was this?
In the
in the
Power
part,
of
the
Four.
special.
Yeah.
First
the
part.
first episode of the 5-part special.
What the hell?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
They
it's
kinda
so
pick up and drop
contrived. Like,
powers.
It's so all over the place.
and like clearly Bliss wanted to like reconnect with her sister, so she wouldn't be invisible. She wouldn't just talk to just Bubbles. She would try to
Exactly.
talk to all of them.
Like, why would she hide? What was her reason for hiding? Oh, we never get one.
Yeah, this writing sounds very inconsistent.
Mhm. Jay and I.
Also, I'm assuming, in the first podcast, we kind of, that's what led it to be 2 hours, and that's
tore
probably what's going to
into it.
lead this. Yeah.
What gets me is that it's inconsistent within its own arc.
Exactly. Like it's one thing that the show is inconsistent across episodes, like with the timeline thing, which I explained in the second podcast, I think. But like, it also gets details wrong in its own episodes. Like, it establishes one thing and then it completely changes to another. Like, there's one episode where in the first act, Blossom is against this idea, and Bubbles and Buttercup are all for it. The episode is fashion forward for those who may be familiar with it listening. Blossom is against the idea of the fashionistas starting a business. Buttercup and Bubbles are all for it. And then halfway through the episode, with no character change whatsoever, out of nowhere, Blossom is the one that's all for it, and Buttercup and Bubbles are against it. Or switch that, whichever one. The point is it's opposite. I forget which one I said. But yeah, it switches on a dime. There's no explanation. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't watch this show.
Yeah, I'm... I kind of have to.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's Powerpuff Girls, so I can get through it.
Before we jump into, I'm assuming we've all pretty much said what we asked about
Yep.
Bliss, but before we jump into that, really quickly, before just going back to Infinity Train, Tulip was also slightly redesigned, and I like the new design a lot.
So
more.
do I.
I didn't even get to like focus in on it too much, but yeah, I think it looks cool. Really.
And
cool.
what's interesting, because at this point, all day, because I made a video earlier about how long it'll last. All day I've been thinking, like, is it gonna be a mini series or a full series? And it sounds like the fact he has all the train cars plotted out sounds like it could be a mini series. But that video, when it shows Swooce design, the storyboard says season 1.
Yes,
so
it
I have
does.
no idea.
Wait, so when you say mini series, what do you mean?
Like Over the Garden Wall, for example, it's kind of like a mini series.
That'd be nah. I would be pissed.
Mhm.
I would be
Yeah,
so mad.
I'm hoping for hopefully like 2 or 3 seasons, assuming
Yeah,
it
like 2
expand out.
is like sweet spot. To
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Yeah, 52 half hours.
Exactly.
That's what I want.
Yes.
Wait, is it going to be 11 or 22 minutes?
I'm assuming 11.
I would assume 11, but 22 would be fine too. It's most likely 11, knowing Cartoon Network though.
Yeah, but if they did 22, that would be like
That'd be crazy.
It would.
Because Welcome to the Wayne was 22 minutes. I know it's on Nickelodeon, but it also has like a mystery element.
Mhm.
Although,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I feel like Welcome to the Wayne doesn't really handle 22 minutes that well.
Yeah,
Speaking of that,
when I seen of it, I was just like, oh, like it has potential, but it's not reaching its potential. But it's already it got moved to Nicktoons. It's
Yeah,
dead.
it's
So
pretty much dead, unfortunately.
do
They've been
you
moving
guys
a
know
lot
much
to
about?
Nicktoons.
Do you guys know much about 12 Forever?
yes,
Mhm. Yes, I've seen the pilot.
So, I mean, Netflix picked that up, and Netflix shows tend to be, 22, 23 minutes. I think that's pretty cool.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for.
I could totally see it working.
And I think it was like one of the better pilot. Like it was like one of the most viewed pilots that Cartoon Network put out besides Infinity Train. I think it was like a second or something.
Mhm.
It was actually even over Victor and Valentino. Interesting stuff. I'm actually looking forward to that show.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
definitely.
I love the designs of it, like the
Yes.
design, the atmosphere it gives. Like
Did
you were
you-
saying in your video slice, but like Chalk Zone and
Mhm.
like that was I was thinking the exact
Bro,
same thing.
when I was editing that, like I had to, get the Chalk Zone intro, and I forgot how hard the Chalk Zone intro bumps. It was like chalk. Rudy's got the chalk. Like it was just hard, man. Oh my gosh! And the animation on 12 Forever is like, whoo, like
and it's
for
for
a
that
cartoon.
Netflix money.
Yeah. And Netflix, like, they can do certain, like, whatever they really want, honestly. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, it's going to be pandering towards a certain age group, not too old. But, Netflix, they're not afraid to do certain things that, the networks would be like, eh.
Well, I mean, look at both Voltron and I don't think you've seen it, but there's also a comedy called Buddy Thunderstruck. Both of those, like, they're aimed for kids, but they very much don't act like a kid show.
Yeah, I like that. It's like Avatar: Last Airbender. It's for kids, but it's for everyone, really.
So the other thing that came out of the press release, really, I got this from when Vox tweeted it out, is there's a certain part where they address their practices when it comes to the television, and there's a quote that comes from, I'm assuming, Christina Miller.
Everyone's
I'm gonna read
favorite.
it out verbatim. We're not worried about, hey, can we change their mind? They enter the world expecting everything to be on their time, on their device. They can swipe and they can watch, and it's our job to be there. On any given night, there's millions and millions more time, millions and millions more minutes consumed cross-platform, in addition to what they're seeing on TV. So pretty much what they're saying is that they're trying to focus on on-demand things like their app and other ventures that they're going. They're not necessarily focusing on television, which I kind of knew already, but
Yeah, because I think that was kind of her acknowledgement towards the complaints towards the schedule, even though, from my honest opinion, is that her involvement with schedule is minimal compared to what people want to believe. Because I remember, like, obviously last year, I made a few videos about the schedule that I just kind of thought about it one day, and I was just like, whoa, wait, the app, Netflix, this is all connected now. So it's glad to have that confirmed, like, even though it was, as James said, like, it's kind of obvious, but yeah, like, they are focusing on streaming and the app, and it's just the future. Like, people just kind of have to accept that.
I mean, if we're being honest, like, they need to focus more on that app because it's trash. That app is garbage, man. Like, all right, so if you're a Steven Universe fan or whatever, we like clamor for our content. Like we get struck on long hiatuses. And so they like to put the episodes out first on the app. And I tried using that app to watch like the new episodes. And it was just so like frustrating because it was like I would click on the episode and then it was the wrong episode. It was out of order. And I tried going back. And then suddenly that episode disappeared because they wanted to tailor my friggin' experience for what I liked.
Wait, were you watching on the app or website? Because that's the exact same selection.
The app.
Oh, yeah, I use the website. I don't use the actual app. I just use the website.
It's
the app.
Trash, dog. It's so bad. Like, it just refused to bring me to the first new episode. It just showed me. And when I clicked an episode, it disappeared. So then I was just stuck with, like, old Steven Universe. I'm like, what the...
So you tell me the app that you got to watch videos was making you unable to watch said video.
Exactly. It's like, this thing is for kids. I'm like, I'm a grown adult. Like, what the heck am I? I'm having the problems with this app. Like, you want your app to be accessible to even babies. Like, you want to throw your phone in front of the baby and they figure it out because they can these days. But that was just atrocious. Like, it said, tailor your experience. And it made me pick the shows I liked. The only show I really cared about at the time was Steven Universe. So I just clicked that. They wouldn't give me everything Steven Universe, which was just dumb.
Yeah, I do think they're getting better. Like, recently, I think it was this past week or two, I just checked to see if all of season 5 was on there, and sure enough, all of season 5 was on there. So before it'd be like just random episodes from all seasons. So I think they're getting better. And Kian, who runs Cartoon Network Schedules on the Cartoon Network Schedules Twitter, he actually tweeted out every single thing that they have on demand. I'm not sure if that includes the app as well. I hope it does, but they have a lot, both old and new. Like, they have
always been like that for, like, well, my old cable provider. They always had like Courage and Billy and Mandy and stuff.
Yeah, like they have like the Billy and Mandy movie, Big Boogie Adventure. They have NNA Big Picture Show. There's just so much. Like that's literally just scratching the surface. They have so much. So like when people were complaining, oh, I want to see the old shows with the new shows,
They're there.
And like, I'm someone who's always been passionate with how television works. I love the live aspect of it. I love live streaming. I like those like those streaming sites like Toonami Aftermath or Nickelodeon Cloud, whatever it's called, that gets shut down 24/7. I used to watch those like religiously just because it was feeding me stuff live and it was different from actual television. So a part of me will always want to watch stuff live. So it's kind of sad that they are phasing out live television for streaming, but I hope they can incorporate that in some way. Like, my honest opinion, Cartoon Network should make a paid service for the app. Like, just $5 a month, you get like everything, including like being able to watch like the channel live.
Right. Throw Boomerang into that, man, because
isn't there a separate?
They
app?
have them separate.
Nobody's doing that, bro. They
could just like put them together.
Yeah.
The problem with Boomerang is that it's literally nothing but like 70s, 80s, like things like the elderly would watch that I grew up with.
Yeah,
so,
we were
Cartoon
at
Network's Nicktoons, really.
Yeah,
we were at
even tailored towards even older people.
New York Comic Con, and they tried giving us like cards for the Boomerang, and it was like, oh, get a free code for like 2 months or whatever, and nobody wanted that. Like, it's all old stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to be honest with you, nobody's paying for a service for things that they have just been on the internet all along. Like, just throw it in as a package with this Cartoon Network stuff, and that works better.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I would
just combine it too.
Yeah, have it all.
I would pay like $5 to, like, even at tiers, like $5 gets you like this, $10 gets you, I don't know, watching the channel live. But like, imagine how much money they would make if they made like exclusive series for the streaming services, like a certain revival people have been clamoring for.
That's funny you mentioned that.
I wish I was in the loop. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Galactic is next door. I think they should make
that.
Like, and if they put that behind a paywall, people would pay.
Absolutely.
When I saw that for the first time, it made me cry, dog. I remember I just remembered when Kids Next Door ended. I was in tears, dog. That shit broke my heart. I said in a recent video, like, when I was a kid, like, it came out when I was in kindergarten, and I remember making my like little kindergarten table. We were all Kids Next Door. We were all like, and then the kids we didn't like, they were delightful children. Like, it was just, it was like, that was a part of me. I remember whenever someone was nearing the age of 13, I was like, oh hell no, I don't mess with you. Like, it was just so great. So I want that back.
That's what I love about Craig the Creek. It feels like a grounded K&D in a way, because the premise of the show, for anyone who hasn't watched, it's about Craig and his friends Kelsey and JP, and they hang out in a creek, and the creek it's like a giant forest, but it's taken over by kids. Like, and there's it's very K&D-esque in the way that like the kids are like, they have their own businesses. They have their own, like, there are kids running shops. There are like there's clans. There's literally a map of our territories.
Yeah, there's a map.
That's cold.
Like, I love this show so much.
Wait, I gotta watch that now. You have me at clans. They got clans.
Yeah.
About to have feudal wars. Wow.
It's such a good show.
I think I wasn't hoping. I mean, I wasn't expecting for Cartoon Network to make this transition all this quickly, like abruptly, in terms of like shows having plot and like moving towards the app, because I feel like they need more time, because Steven Universe, as far as I'm concerned, is in that transitional period, and it hasn't been done well by the app. You know, it's been kind of done dirty, and that's like one of their flagship shows, and that's a show that you want to be perpetuated by the app, because it's a continuity show. People aren't just going to see random episodes on television and enjoy that. They want it, you know, to binge it. Mm-hmm. So you want to have it executed properly. And I don't want them to add like this huge new roster if they can't do it, you know, correctly. So they really have to come correct with this stuff. If they're serious about this new wave, they have to have the formula down packed where they're actually a contender, because there's a bunch of everyone's having a streaming service at this point. I mean, we have Disney making their own, and they're taking all Star Wars and having original shows on there. They're taking Marvel stuff, original shows. It's a hard market to break into, because everybody wants to break into it. It's the new television. So this is like super important. This is like one of the most important make or break periods for Cartoon Network.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're in a very critical time. And I think television in general, 'cause the thing is, Cartoon Network doesn't do, I don't say they don't do their app right. Like, they've been getting better, but like, I don't enjoy how they're adding new episodes of shows like before they air on TV. It's not even the fact that like they're doing it before they air on TV, but it's like weeks up to like months ahead.
Yeah, that's actually bad.
Yeah, like I hate the fact that OKKO, they dropped like everything but the season 1 finale on the app, and it's still like a month or two left for premiere stuff on television to catch up. And the problem with that is, I don't know if they realize this, people they know this, but people re-upload the eepisodes to YouTube. So
and then there's just no reason to go to the app.
Exactly.
That is like a huge issue that they are not tackling. That is just, people are, you know, they can't make money off it, but they can make money off certain things like promos, I think, like commercial or whatever. But I mean, there's so many views on that on those clip videos. And that's something that all these services should want to get a crack into, because that's like super crazy potential. Absolutely anything. You put a clip of it and it can get like, you know, close to 1 million views. More than us talking about the cartoons, because people just, you know, want to watch it. It's a whole different thing. So if they can crack into that, which, you know, the anime industry has been trying to for a while, or should be trying to, then they're onto something revolutionary.
Okay, so it's finally deleted now, but some of the YouTube uploads, OKKO, last month they had an episode, Mystery Science Fair 21X. That's like one of the first ones on the app. Mm-hmm. It aired on TV 3 to 4 weeks later, which I think is too long. By the time it aired on TV, it had, and this number is burned to my skull because it was in my recommended, 1.6 million views. The premieres itself on television do not pull in that much. And I think a part reason for that is people are just tapping it on YouTube. And like, it shouldn't take you 2 to 3 weeks to pull an episode like that. Especially when
I think I get it. You know, I get what they were trying to do. Like, sure, like, hey, you know, you could watch a whole bunch of new episodes. It's just like, I think they also have to understand that they're competing in a world that has like recording software and could distribute it beyond your app. And some people are just not even, and another thing about the app is that you have to connect your cable provider, and some people may not have that, so they kind of go to other means. So I get what they were trying to do, but no, that doesn't, I feel like it would have been better if they were going to do something like that, to maybe release it a day earlier, you know, like a week earlier or something like that.
That's
like
why
shorten the gap, you know?
I think Disney XD has the app thing pinned down because what they do is they post episodes at midnight, not Eastern time where I am, but whatever California is.
Yeah, that's
So at
specific.
3 a.m., they post those episodes the exact same day they air. So if you don't catch it on TV, you can just put it on the app. And
yeah, that's fire. I love that. Like, it's, for us, what we do, we could just go to the app right before, before it goes to television, and we are able to work on stuff.
yeah.
With Steven
That's what I
Universe,
like.
it's so awkward. I remember for our community or whatever, the episodes would air on the app way before they did on television, and we were like, so is this kind of a spoiler? Am I like gonna bother people who are waiting for television? Like, what do I do? And then there's people who are saying, oh, Steven Universe came out, new episodes, and it's like, dude,
I didn't even know.
yeah, it's like, who is marketing this stuff? Like, am I the only one who's telling you? It's bad. It's really bad. Like, Disney XD does have it down packed in terms of it's so much cleaner. I know Cartoon Network's trying to be ahead of the curve and do something like, oh, we're cool here. Like, we're doing something that other people aren't doing, and it's like enticing to go to the app.
Yes.
Well, I think we shouldn't stall any further. I'm pretty sure everyone who's going to be watching is, because I'm already 10 steps ahead with this podcast. I already have like the artwork like being done. So let's get into the main course. The main course of this. All right, so I'm gonna give a little bit of context because these three here are gonna tear apart this, and that's just gonna be a beautiful thing to watch.
Oh,
So I want to say last year, I don't know like what specific month, popular animation reviewer Stuff with Scoutfly, he kind of disappeared off the face of YouTube and came back as just in time on Twitter, and he was going to be starting a podcast, but apparently that also fell through. I guess we didn't hear from him for quite a long time until about, I'd want to say 2 days ago, probably 3 days ago, considering going into the night. But he made a YouTube video called, I believe, 3 years on YouTube has killed me, and here's why, or something like that.
Yeah, wait, YouTube has ruined my life for 3 years. Here's how.
And here's how. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see the first 1 or 2 hours. I kind of dropped in once okay, for me personally, I was told that it was happening. I just didn't care, I had my own stuff to deal with. I was gaming. I don't pay attention too much. But then
I was
everyone else start watching it, and I was like, is something happening? Is he like saying something? And then I hear, and it's actually funny who it came from. Scoutfly was talking about how he wasn't really passionate about the cartoons he was reviewing. He apparently he got it off the wiki, and he kind of fooled people into believing that he was passionate about it to get him to where he was. I didn't get to that part. I heard he said a lot of things about the community. Around the time that I got there, he was kind of off that. He was more getting into like what irked him, like the network he was in and the people who are making videos on him and stuff like that. I do know beforehand he made a Snapchat video or Instagram, one of those two.
Yep.
Essentially talking negatively about the community as well, but I don't know too much about that. I'm not interested. I was never interested in Scoutfly until at this live stream where he won me over.
All right. So
well, Jay, you bribed him, so
I did. Looks like we made it just in time.
Oh my god.
So Scoutfly, he was one of my friends, and I can't really say that to him. I can't really say he is now because just like even leading up to like before he even did this stream, like I want to say like it was last month. It was around that time. I just happened to look at his Twitter and I noticed he wasn't following me, and I DM'd him. I'm like, yo, like why'd you unfollow? And he was like, oh, it's only personal. I just wanted to follow those people on Twitter. I was just thinking like, what? So he unfollowed me, like, because I thought we were supposed to be like, I understand if we weren't like supposed to be friends or whatever. So that was already like a red flag for me. The fact that in the stream he said most of the cartoons he covered, Steven Universe, I think Gumball, I'm not sure if it was Starburst, but basically every show, yeah, like every popular show that he covered on this channel, he didn't actually watch. He admitted to looking up information about them on wikis, on the show's wikis. And
that's what got me to go to the stream. I was dead.
And why that is hurtful to me? Why? Because it'd be different if maybe he told me like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm not really into the cartoon thing. Like, he confided that to me. But he reached out to me, and our friendship was established on the basis they said he liked my videos, he liked what I was doing for the community, but I was referring to like my Steven Universe videos, my news videos on Gumball or Cartoon Network or stuff, and just turned out he didn't really give a fuck about it. That means he didn't give a fuck about my content. So the fact our friendship was founded on that basis, it just makes it seem entirely fake.
Clout.
Yeah, exactly. They reached out to me for like the numbers game that maybe I could elevate him, and he kind of reiterated that on his stream by saying,
that was funny.
He said Scoutfly wouldn't exist without the Roundtable. Roundtable was exist on Scoutfly because of like the algorithm recommended. Bro,
yo, all right. Let me light this up. It don't make not a sliver of sense what he was saying at that point. How does Scoutfly mean like no Scoutfly mean no Roundtable? Because the Roundtable, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it started off talking about Steven Universe, and it was blowing up off Steven Universe, to which is like once again it's in its own stratosphere of this cartoon community. It's in a subsection. He has nothing to do with that. But, you know, now that he's doing other cartoons and branching out, that's his prerogative. Like, that's the Roundtable doing cool stuff and being themselves. That's nothing to do with this guy. Like, what do his numbers do in comparison? I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but you can't like say you can't try to sun this man when he's on top of you. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. And this actually ties back to what we were talking about earlier about like how the animation community was kind of a subgenre, or the Steven Universe content is kind of a subgenre of the animation community.
Yeah.
When me and Scoutfly, this is back in the summer. This was around the time. It's like right before he quit. We were talking, and I said at this point, because at this point I was only talking to the fan with this, that it felt like the cartoon community was kind of just like in their own cliques from what I've seen. And like this before I talked to Nintendo, before I talked to either Alpha or Shadow. When it was just like me, Slice, Swaggy, Cartoon Universe, Skyward. I could name all of them, but it would take like 30 seconds. But I didn't really put it out as like a negative connotation. I was just saying like, yeah, it just feels like everyone is in their own cliques. While he was saying like, oh, it just feels like everyone fucking hates each other. And I was like, oh, like no one really
the way that you two went about that, like both of you, like I do feel like there is some truth in that, because when I started out, all the big guys, none of them, and it kind of still is that way. Like if we were to put like you Vox aside, let's say like you were in a part of this, I don't really talk to any of the bigger reviewers, nor do I expect for that to happen. But it's not even like they talk to each other for the most part. You would think that, because one of the things that Justin was trying to say, Justin being Scoutfly, what he was trying to say is that like we all the fans sort of watch the same similar people, like there's a lot of people when they subscribe to one reviewer, they're generally you'd be hard pressed to find that for a lot of people. They kind of subscribe to many, and you would think that if the fans kind of commingle between different subscriber bases, you would think that the bigger reviewers would like reach out and be like, hey, like a lot of my fans like your content, I think your content's pretty cool, we should do something. But that doesn't really happen, at least with the reviewers I watch. It doesn't really happen.
I think like there's not really an obligation to do that at all.
Yeah.
For me, it just happens naturally. Like I'll comment on someone's video, or I'll talk to them on Twitter, and it just, it just happens. It's not something where it's an obligation where like they're a coworker of mine and we go to the same, workplace, It's, but at the same time, it is nice when people reach out and make friends and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's an obligation. I don't think people are shady because they don't make friends and things like that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad thing either.
Yeah, exactly. Like all right. So in terms of me being friends with other content creators, I'm friends with a bunch of people, but my viewers wouldn't necessarily know that. Like I have some people ask in my comments sometimes, like, oh, do you know Awestruck Vox? Are you friends with Awestruck Vox? When yes, I am, but we've never like actually done an official collab. Like I've been on his podcast, I've live streams and things like that, but we haven't like genuinely collabed. And that's just because I don't really think about collabs when I make my content. It's usually just me just like spewing shit from my brain. It's never like, how can I involve someone else into this?
Yeah, I feel like the nature of our content makes it really hard to collab, especially with theories. Like when me, Sky, and Cartoon Universe collabed, just because we did like a top 10, like Steven Universe season 3 episodes, and that was easier because it was just like it's a top. You can have
you just throw three videos together into one, pretty much.
Yeah, and like we all like listed our own thoughts on the episodes. Like okay, here's my pick, and then we were like, yeah, I like this episode, or oh, I didn't like this because of this. But like with theories, I don't even imagine how that would work.
Yeah, it's like when we make our theories, it's very personal in the way in which our brains work sometimes. So it would end up just being like us maybe disagreeing a lot, and it wouldn't get too much progress, and it would take longer. You want videos like that to be concise because it is a lot of information to throw at the viewers' heads. So it just doesn't really work for us all that much. It's not like a gaming video where you just sit and play games together.
Yeah, and it's like if we did like try to force a collab and like we thought like it didn't work, then that would be us being quote unquote fake, as Scoutfly putting out. Well, yeah, that would be us putting fake. But and Scoutfly was saying at first he was saying, "Oh, everyone hates each other," but then like towards the end of the stream, he says actually a few times that everyone in the community is fake, which I vehemently disagree with because it's like everyone like. When I see like on their videos, especially like the more personality driven videos, like, streams or like even podcasts, I do listen to like the Pizza Party podcast or like, just your guys' videos. You guys act pretty much the same. Like,
yeah, I'm not. The only difference between my videos and me is that, well, this podcast isn't really helping the case, but I talk more livelier and louder.
Yeah. See, that to me, like, some people will say that that's bad, but you speak a different way because you want to convey your voice. You want to be heard.
Of course. That's exactly why I do it.
It's very different from just having a casual conversation. Like, if I'm just having a conversation, I'll be chilling and I'll speak in Ebonics. I'll have like slang because I'm just from New York. That's just me. But when I'm trying to make a video, I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. I'm trying to elevate my voice. So it's just, people gravitate towards it. That's just being an entertainer. I mean, this is a podcast. That's basics.
Like, there's not, like, realistically speaking, only like a lot of really engaged fans are going to get past an hour. So I kind of move my podcast as sort of like me, like it's just me talking about the topics instead of like, trying to have it in a video format. It's a lot more casual.
Another point that he made. So yeah, he said everyone hates each other. Everyone's fake. He admitted to faking his own content. Like his personality.
Before you get onto that, I kind of wanted to build off of what Otaku was saying earlier. I was watching reviews for about a year before I got into it. So like, I kind of had I'm still kind of a viewer. I still kind of see myself as a viewer, not really much of like a content creator. I kind of feel like I
get that feeling.
So like, for me, I can see why fans kind of see when they look at certain content creators, they would think like you would think, hey, they would at least interact in some sort of way. And like, it's kind of that thing where people speculate. And that's why I kind of want to bring it back to the live stream that Scoutfly did, that I do want to throw a bone at him. A lot of people were asking like, who do you hate in the community? Who's fake in our community? Because like, I feel like that's something that a lot of people want to know. And if you want my complete and honest opinion, like I don't hate anyone in our community. I don't.
Same.
Like I don't have any burning animosity. Like I don't watch. There's certain people I don't watch.
What's the point of that, really? Like there's nobody attacking any of us outright. I don't think. Like, there's no reason to be upset like to that degree with anyone. It's just we're all chilling, doing our thing, and having fun. I think
like,
that
I really don't think about a lot of other YouTubers of what.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I don't even watch people like that. I just do my own thing, and if I feel like watching something, I feel like watching something. I'm very selective with my content. I think that's my right to do because it's content for me. But like, I think that Scoutfly, or what's his name, Squiggly Swoosh now.
Call him Scott.
Scott.
oh yeah, Scott. Your name is Scott. So he's speaking for a lot of people in the community when and really it's just him. He's just trying to include other people so he doesn't sound like such a crazy moron.
Yeah, a lot of it felt like projection, especially like because he called people fake after a meeting. He faked this for 3 years. He said
how do you do
everyone hates each other when evidently he was the main one, because I think he was referring to Mars Reviews' video on him and Pan Pizza's Tumblr post on him, and he said he never watched Mars's video, but I don't want to say he's lying because he honestly got a man that watched it. But his entire "I hate this community, it's so toxic" thing did not happen until after Mars made that video.
Yeah, a lot of stuff didn't happen until right after Mars made it.
This is when I learned who the man was, because Vox, like, he tells me about people in the cartoon community, and he put me onto that Mars review video. I was dead. I can't get that image of this man eating animal crackers in the 90s out of my head. Yo, he cooked them, and that's that's a powerful roast. When you end this man's existence, not even end his existence, he ended himself. He's out here eviscerating his own career. Like, he deleting his YouTube video. I mean, not deleting them, but unlisting them for whatever reason, because
and copyright claiming anyone who uploads it.
That don't make any sense, because you can make advertisement money off of just the videos being up. He's slowly dying off of that. Yeah. And then he's burning all his bridges with Frederator, which was his occupation prior. Mm-hmm. It's like, where are you going from here? Like, what?
Should we get into the further things? I have a lot of words, because obviously I have
Well, before I think I should probably, I'm gonna give my context, because I think this is also a big thing. You can also build off of what I was gonna. I was actually with them for about a year. Back a long time ago, when I had less than 1,000, most likely. I had other networks contact me, but I wasn't really interested. I ran into Frederator. Actually, I contacted Frederator. It wasn't Frederator is the only network that I actually went out and contacted. Every single other network kind of sent emails my way, and I looked through. They were talking about things like, we'll have a creative team here that will like help you with like creative meetings and distribution and stuff like that. They had a whole bunch of stuff on their website, and I was like super excited, because I was like, hey, I know Frederator. They're associated with Adventure Time and Fairly Odd Parents and stuff like that. So I would think, like, oh my god, this is something. And also at the time, I knew that Pan and Pie Guy were also in Frederator. So I was like, if they're in it, it can't be too bad. And also, this was around the time when Rebel was growing insanely fast. Around this time, again, very small YouTuber, I got into it, and pretty much, besides like going on the forums and seeing what it's all about, I saw, and this is just my experience, because Vox has a completely different experience with them. I saw that if you were like an artist or animator, there was a lot of opportunities for you on the table. They had like a lot of community videos that they were doing. You had, and all of the artists and stuff like that were mingling, and I'm not an artist, like neither am I an animator. I want to get into that stuff, but at the time and now I'm not. So like, I was trying to figure out what I can do, since I'm like I'm a tangent with art animation. Like, although I don't necessarily partake in it, I still talk about it. So I was trying to figure out what I can do for that. And I remember one thing that I've always wanted to do with Frederator, which was like, they said like they would have someone go over with me like what I can do and what can grow and stuff like that. But that never came to be, even though I sent like, I feel like I've sent like 5 or 6 emails like, hey, can we do this? Can we do this? Because I remember that was also in the contract, and that never happened. I also remember reading a guide. They had a whole bunch of guides too, and that helped a little bit. But the thing is, with their guides, I don't know if I can release what they said, but it wasn't from my channel. Like, what they were recommending were stuff that I feel like if I did, it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be genuine. So it would work for other people, and it has, and I know a lot of people who it could benefit from. But considering that I'm a lot more analytical with my stuff, and like, I don't like, even if my video goes over 10 minutes, like I don't drop another like mid-roll. No disrespect to those who do. Like, I'm a lot more rambly with my videos, and I think that's what kind of made me a little bit different from that. So I wasn't about concise videos. Pretty much the only thing I got out of it that was useful was that I was able to use their sound library, and that's why and that's what got me to use music with Epidemic Sound. That was pretty cool. But beyond that, I felt like I wasn't really getting too much out of it, and considering that as a YouTube and MCN, they generally take a cut, I felt like if I'm going to be growing, that means the cut, even if it's 10%, it's going to get bigger as my revenue gets bigger. And I feel like if they were taking a cut and they weren't like doing too much for me, I decided to split off. And I did. It took a little bit, but that's expected with any MCN. They don't want to see anyone go. I just felt like they had a lot of people on their plate, and because I was small, they weren't doing too much.
That's the thing with these kinds of with networks. That's why that's one of the many reasons why, like Vox would tell you, I went into I hate networks. They when you're a small channel, I'm telling this to anyone who's listening who wants to make a channel, who has a channel, do not sign with the MCN. Just do not.
I
This
I
is
was, I was like that.
if
But the
this
thing
was
is,
2008, 2009, yeah, because you couldn't have a thumbnail that you created
or
yourself
enable
without
monetization or stuff.
exactly. But
Yeah,
nowadays, you can do everything yourself. Like even that sound library thing, which was
yeah.
useful to you.
I
I
would
get
love to
my own
do that.
copyright free music just from
Yeah,
anywhere, and people like actually contact me. Hey, you want to use this music and whatever?
yeah. Of course,
It like you have to. We are in such a time where we're able to be our own CEOs. We can all like build our own platforms ourselves, and just there's so much accessibility with the internet. The same thing like with music, the music industry. It's pretty much like a mirror image where there are
Yeah,
acts signed to labels, and that restricts them. It ends like the label will say, this is what we want out of you from an album, and that content may not be you. You have to be true to yourself, because you see what happened with Scoutfly. But like your content has to be real, because you're not going to enjoy it if it's not, and people, even if they don't pick up on it, it'll
yeah.
never be as successful as it would be if you were being genuine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, two more things though. So I remember talking to Vox, and he was telling me so many great things about it, because when I left, my impression of the network was like, if you're like an artist or animator, it'd be a great idea to like do something, because not only do you get like access to a whole bunch of people within the network, but you can also like you also have like their channel, because they also help out a lot of people. Like if
Mhm.
you're like a reviewer or something, like it probably would be a better idea to like move on your own. But I remember talking to Vox, and he was saying a lot of great things about it. And there were like people that like my reviewing peers who came up to me, and they told me that they got into a network because like I was talking because I was in a network, and they thought that
Mhm.
was something to
See,
do.
that's the vicious cycle. That's what they want us to do. They want us to perpetuate this stuff and tell you everything is working, because everyone looks at the big creators, right? And the
Yeah,
big creators are the ones that are being taken care of by the network extensively, because they work in two ways. Like, they're making them money, because, the higher they go, the higher they're making money off the split or whatever. But then it's also the impression it makes off of the smaller people who are saying, "Oh, wow, they did all this for Awestruck Vox. What? Well, I want a piece of that." But it doesn't always work that way, because they can't give everyone the same treatment. Not everyone signed for the same, under the same parameters. It's unfortunate, but it's okay. Like if you want the benefits of a network, like the true benefits of the network, the things that they tell you they can do for you but don't really do, grow your channel on your own, show your own self-worth, figure yourself out before you try to have someone else figure it out for you. You have to learn how to fly before you can, go and do different routines and things like that. You have to figure out what you're doing for yourself. Like right now, I could sign with like Frederator or whatever and do well for myself, but I've come to a point where I don't even care to. It's what does it do for me really that I haven't already been able to do on my own? I like my independence. I like being able to do what I want to do and not have to worry about someone breathing down my neck, because that's kind of, a typical
I'm the
job
same
right
way, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't really have interest in signing with any network. I'd rather just do my own thing.
Yeah, I would actually like to. I don't know if you had anything else to add, Jay, but I was actually going to share my experience with Frederator,
yeah,
like from the beginning up to present. And I want to make this as transparent as possible. I love Frederator. I have sung the praises of them many, many times. But I would say I'm really conflicted when I think about if I would do my first year over with them again, because I was in your position, Jay, where like I signed, 'cause I saw all these creators were signed, and actually on my older channel, despite me just like re-uploading clips, they actually offered me to join. This was even before like my shit could even be monetized, because it was just like Tanami edits like tiny style promos of older things. But once the roundtable took off, like as soon as I was like eligible to get a partnership with them, I did. And the reason why I regret it, because again, like what you were saying, they weren't really doing much for me that first year. It just felt like it was just another network just taking my money, more or
now.
less.
yeah.
And this was before I even used their Epidemic Sound library or anything. I remember I think it was this time last year. It was approaching June, so maybe it was either this month or April. But I messaged them, and I was being upfront like, hey, Frederator hasn't really been interactive with me, and I feel like they're taking all this money. For those of you listening, the average cut for a YouTube network, like any network you go to, more or less, they're going to offer you 70-30. That's like
Yeah.
the standard.
That's
So I messaged them like,
corny.
yeah, and 30%. So keep in mind, 30% of my revenue first year was just gone.
Yep.
That is
And like
piracy. The fact that they're not giving you anything and taking a 30% cut, that is absurd.
yeah, and I want everyone to make it clear, like this isn't like exclusive Federated.
Yeah.
This is every network. So
Yeah, this is every network.
Even worse.
yeah,
I remember when I was like, I had a previous channel where I did video games. It was like really low key, but like I got approached by a network, and I was just like so ecstatic. You know, I was younger, and I was thinking, wow, that's so cool. Like, I mean, I didn't end up taking it up because my mom was more knowledgeable than me at that time because I was underage, so I'd need her to sign. And she was like, I don't know, do your research. I ended up doing my research, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, so I messaged him like, hey, I feel like for especially how much money I'm like losing, I just feel as if you guys could be doing more. That kind of really kickstarted the relationship. It took a few days, up to like a week to get a response, which Jay says, like that was also kind of yikes, like the fact it took so long to get a response.
Yeah.
And Jay, do you know what time or like what year you left Federator?
All right, I started in 2015, so it would be like probably June of 2016, maybe even earlier.
So this was actually like last year. So this is 2017, and I know since they obviously saw like the channel's numbers and everything, we were able to establish a relationship, and like we something they did with their other creators that they started doing for me was that each week we would do a call, and there was things called channel reports, and they still do this. Basically, outlines all my videos, like the videos I did well this week, how many uploads I did, like the retention, how many subscribers gained versus subscribers lost. Like something that's really helpful is the related search terms to my channel. So what people who click my videos are searching, and that's really helpful for me because I can, properly plan videos that that I want to talk about. Well, I can talk about, and then also know like there's a good chance that they're going to do well. And in addition to that, we were able to renegotiate my revenue from 70-30 to 85-15. I wanted 90-10. Like I wanted like
I remember
90. Honestly, 85-15 was a pretty good compromise, and it led to a much better relationship. And actually, with those weekly calls, they hired someone named Kenny, whose job was to be, I think, a community, like a network manager. So what he does is like he's responsible for communicating with a bunch of people in the network, so like the partners. So he was really helpful. And he started like almost a year ago. So that was pretty like once I was vocal about it, like once I showed interest in leaving, again, not to like talk about our Federator, I don't want this to come as negative, but that's when like no, they definitely showed interest. That was a relationship. And I think just general, like right now, they're doing a lot better with their partners. Like I know the whole new demonetization rule, and like so many people lost their partnerships. Their network took a pretty big hit. I don't want to disclose the numbers mostly because I don't think I can, but or like just out of respect, I wouldn't want to do that. But they like even then they told their partners like, look, we're not going to cut you from a partner program. Like even if you're not monetized anymore, you're still going to have access to all our tools and resources, which I think is pretty cool. It's like even if they're not profiting off of it, they're not denying people the services that they signed on for. So basically what I'm saying is if you're out there aspiring to be a creator, I would say definitely if you think you can reap benefits during network, because Federator has had benefits for me. And a huge thing that I should get to in a second when we talk about some other things Justin has said, I would say just wait it out. Wait till like you're truly like established that like you're thriving off of this.
Wait till you're worth something. Like
exactly.
Not to like
you can prove, like
don't
care about what you're doing. Like you can you have an audience, a wave,
Yeah, just once you are of monetary gain to them, because it's a business at the end of the day. Like Vox, him saying that he wanted to leave, that made them say, "Oh, wait, whoa. He makes us money. He's one of like our biggest acts on this whole network thing. We need him. We can't afford to lose him, just for nothing. So let's actually do our jobs."
Yeah. Especially if he if him leaving convinces other people to leave.
I was talking to Vox throughout this whole process, of him going from Federator being like absent to now being like actually helping him out. Oh god, I lost my train of thought.
But no, two of the four of us.
Huh?
I said that's two of us now.
Yeah. Gosh, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry. Continue.
One thing that I didn't know was that like it seems so obvious now, but like you can negotiate a contract.
Yes.
Like, I thought what they sent to me is like the only thing I can get, and like
no,
that's how they make
back at it.
They're not going to tell you otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business.
Like they want you to just submit when they send those messages, and you have to question them because you are signing a legal document. And I remember seeing the one that I received back in the day, and it felt so one-sided. It felt as though they were getting so many benefits. Like they reserved the right to like drop me whenever they feel like it, and like they said I can leave anytime I want. But if they ever say that, that's a complete lie. Don't listen to them because it's a whole process. Yep. And you won't be able to access your like numbers for a whole month afterwards, maybe more.
Oh, that was the worst part about me running to. Okay, so to also preface this, like one of the worst parts, like when you join a network, your analytics revenue gets pushed behind a month. So, and this is a time where I was crucially broke, and so the fact the channel came out like the right time was amazing. But because I joined the network, I had to wait. I started this at the beginning of the summer and then of May. I did not get my first payment until the end of summer in August, like right before college started. So I couldn't even spend my summer reaping the benefits of what I was working for every single day. Like that's I was still
corny.
I would still be bumming rides from people because I didn't have a car yet. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't have enough money for gas. I was still, taking Ubers and not being able to actually do anything because I had no money. That's another thing to keep in mind when you're joining a network and like not rushing into it. Keep in mind like you are going to go an extra month without that revenue. And I think when you start YouTube in general, it's already like a month behind anyways, but it was hell.
And that's one of the reasons why I say networks are just so obsolete these days, because when you're a small channel, the network's not going to be of any use to you. And when you're a big channel and you've proven your worth, at that point, it's like, what do I need this network for? Because I've already been doing my thing for this long, and I'm great on my own. Why do I need to give them money now and then not be able to access my numbers, which I need to see? Because at this point, if you have become that big, it's most likely your career. It's something that you do getting monetary gain. So it just pushes you back as a business.
Yeah.
What's better than a network for smaller YouTubers is actually networking and finding other people.
Oh, you nailed it.
Because that's the thing. I remember someone was talking about, it was like a rant on Twitter about how YouTube doesn't feel like a community. And someone said, well, yeah, because you're supposed to make your community within YouTube. It's kind of like anything else. And I kind of feel like it's the same way here. When you're small, and there's other people who are around you, like obviously you're not going to get like let's just say Scoutfly, if he was still here, you're not going to get him to make a video with you or help you out, but you have a lot of like other small people who are very passionate about what they're doing. And you guys can grow together and you guys can help each other out. That works so much better than like this other network. Well, like because one of the things I've always wondered about networks, it's not just Frederator, there's also other MCNs that do this. They have like a big channel and they end up like shouting out other people there. The problem with that is like the nature of a shout out video isn't something that's enticing to people unless they actually are like actively going out to find new stuff.
Yeah.
So like shouting out, that doesn't really entice people as much as like show me, like entertain me on the video I'm clicking, I feel like when I met like Shadow and Gem and Nick and Crimson and all of that, once we actually started like making a community within us, I felt like that kind of helped everyone out, and we're all doing like our own collabs within that. Like I feel like that helps out, obviously, in addition to actually like moving your YouTube in the right direction. But I felt like that kind of helped me out a lot more than what a network would be able to do.
Yeah. Like I said, when I entered this whole YouTube thing, there was already a community forming around me. I already had, friends off of it. And one of our friends over at Cartoon Universe, they ended up getting hacked, and their MCN was useless, utterly useless in resolving the issue. It took the community around them that actually liked their videos to resolve the problem. Like we had to do this ourselves, and that's trash because they were big. Like they at the time, in terms of subscribers, they were larger than Vox. So it's like they're this big act, and you can't even help them. And it took so long for a response to even happen. They didn't do anything. They ended up responding after the problem was already resolved. Just it's gross.
Yeah, I'm happy that I'm with Frederator. So, I definitely want to be the perspective of someone who is with a network. Like I said, just wait till you're an asset to them. Not to Frederator, like just a network in general.
Truly.
Wait to your you know when to play your cards, and don't go for the first offer you get, because I did that.
And remember to not
know your worth.
Know your worth, and don't come in with the same mentality as you did when you came into YouTube to begin with. because when you start on YouTube and when you're at that point where you're established, it's two very different mentalities. You have to carry yourself in a very different way. Like, this is business. You're not just like dreaming about these networks, because I'm not gonna lie, like I thought about Frederator as well. Like I thought, that's so cool. It's actually Frederator. Once again, know your worth, know your value. Nobody can tell you your value except for you. Like Jay was saying, like going to them asking like what you could do to get bigger, they can't tell you that. They really can't. Like it's one of those things where you have to come in being something of worth for them to say, oh, this is a good direction. They can't just lead you if they don't have much to go off of.
Yeah, that's also a good reason why. That's the reason why I joined Frederator, because I thought they would be able to help my channel grow. Initially, like when I was first starting this, okay, this is getting traction. How can I make it bigger? That was a huge factor to it. And again, like when you know your worth and you make your worth known, other people will know your worth. Other people will understand how big you are. So again, it's just really play your cards right, and you really have to like you don't want the title of just being part of a network, because it's not 2006, 2008, 2009 to 2010 anymore. YouTube is an entirely different platform from when it was now.
Yeah, and the reason we're going into this is because, well, Scott Fly had very different things to say about Frederator, which I will actually say when Fox was talking about how Scott Fly unfollowed him, apparently he refollowed you and also is following Frederator.
Bro, this man's mind is just warped. It's just every day just flipping.
That's he wasn't following me before, but
he was talking about Fred's nutsack on the stream. So what the hell he's
okay.
Come on, dog.
So before we go into the whole Frederator part of his little stream, let me just make this clear. When he was talking to me about the cartoon community, he was saying that he not only did he not care about the community, like he doesn't care if he's welcomed or not. He said he's just gonna do himself. That his main goal was to get a job at Frederator, not just part of the network, a job there. His goal at the time, is like the number one priority of his life was to be employed there, and then he got that. He was a host. He was writing videos. He was hosting videos. So for him, basically reveal, oh, I was bullshitting it the entire time. Why would you make it your life go to work at a network for something you don't even care about? Why would you want that to be your life? That's what
he's
really
trying to be so edgy, bro.
Yeah.
Oh I actually have a story about that. I recall this from his live stream. He essentially was talking about a time when he was making, and this is his words, he made a video theory or something like that, and he sent it over, and essentially they said, we're going to send it to another writer to make it beefier. And little did he know, like later on, essentially from what he was saying that the other writer's intentions was to make the video longer so that they can enable mid-rolls. That's why he didn't, and that's why he kind of didn't dig making videos for them.
Dog, it's a business. What do you want? Like, you came here to be an employee. You do your part. Like, forget about all that individuality stuff. If you want to be an employee, you work as a pawn. You are a puzzle piece in the grand scheme of things. If you want to be an individual and do your own thing, that's what you had a channel for. But apparently you didn't care about that. So what are you even talking about? If you didn't care about that, why are you complaining now, dog? It's just so wishy-washy. Like he just it's so gross.
He also talked about their Patreon a lot.
Yeah, he did.
We'll get to but with the things like, okay, let's say if he worked in television and he was a TV writer and he wrote an episode and they're like, oh, can you flesh out a bit more? 22 minutes like a normal TV show? What would he be like? Oh, they only care about money? Like, no shit, they want it to be 10 minutes. No shit, they want their videos to be the best thing for the algorithm. Hell, like even with the roundtable, like, it's a business. I am a boss for, Tom and Shane. And, with Tom, I usually get like, his Let's Talks like that's his own thing. Like when they write news videos, like talking about a news story, I don't ever try to force it 10 minutes because it's like, it's a news video. Like you got to be reaching to make it 10 minutes unless it's like really extensive. But since I'm like, oh, well, can you just flesh out like a little bit more so it's not, just 2 minutes. So, so it's just more there. Like it's not always going to be just about the algorithm, just so like you can flesh it out a bit more. Or even my own crystal clear. Sometimes I'll be going in with like, okay, this is going to be a 7-minute episode of me talking about a theory. No, sometimes it turns out to be like 15, 19 minutes. And I feel like you probably relate to that, Slice.
Oh, yeah. Yo, when I make videos, I mean, I don't even go in saying how long it's going to be. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, this is going to be pretty short. But they're never short with me. I'm be honest. Like, well, they can be, but I always do more than I expect to going in. With 10-minute videos, for me personally, I'm not purposefully stretching anything to 10 minutes because that's a lot of editing.
Same.
I do too much with my editing. Like I actually try to make the lip flaps like sync up with what I'm saying. And that's just like so unnecessary, but I like doing it because it looks better to me. Exactly. And I'm not going to sacrifice that to have that 10-minute mark just for extra revenue. Like if I want more revenue, I'll post more. I'll make more videos. I'll do more stuff that's interesting or whatever. Like when it comes to revenue, I'll upgrade my content in order to get that. I don't want to sacrifice anything.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you actually watch the content, you can tell this isn't padding. It's just fleshing it out so it makes sense. Like, and that's not just for the theories, but like reviews too. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, I like this because of this." That's not in depth. That's not really a review.
Yeah,
That's one of the reasons I can't do reviews. Like I stay dumb long on the minuscule. Like I'll just keep talking about something that's really small. Like I make sure that I don't do too many reviews because it's always just gonna be so long, and it's I don't know. People will say like the video's longer than the actual episode. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I've gotten that.
Bro, if I'm elaborating on everything that's in the episode, of course it's gonna be longer. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's crazy. And like some people like short form content, like more part of them, but like
Yeah, that's like one of the biggest things, like one of the biggest revelations that a lot of like even content creators understand. Like some people enjoy short form content and some people don't. And the people who don't will look out for like it's so weird to me how some people like with other things like with food, you know, like some people prefer sweeter food, some people like chips, like they prefer saltier food. So you know what you do, you go for what you want. But like people think that with like animation reviewers we all have to be like the same thing when that's not the case.
Right?
People will go to what they want to see, you know.
So yeah, he came at the runtime when he was working at Federator. What else did he go after? He was
The
saying
Patreon.
Yeah, okay. So the Patreon, here's the thing that I noticed about, at least from that stream about Scoutfly, he seems as if everyone uses a Patreon in the same manner, which they don't. He was basically saying the best way to squeeze the most out of your audience is start a Patreon. That's not true. And he was like, why does Predator need a Patreon? And on a certain end, I get that because they are like an animation studio, this and that. But he's assuming that all of Federator's money is going to like is evenly spread out. Like obviously their animation studio has a set budget.
Yeah.
Obviously their YouTube division has a set budget. Now if they're not making a profit off of like as much as they should be for that division, then they need something to make that up. Or if they want to grow it and it's not in the budget, they need something to make that up. That's where Patreon comes in. That like at least that's my idea of it. From just saying they need a Patreon just to squeeze all much life force and money they can out of their viewers. That's just such a ridiculous notion to me because he doesn't know what they need it for. Maybe that's what he would need it for. Maybe that's what some YouTubers that he's seen it need for. That's what some content creators do. They make a Patreon when they don't need it. Like me personally for the Roundtable, we have a Patreon because we're a channel that has like 300,000 subscribers or 300,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And we only make so much of ad revenue and there's 5 of us working. Like these are people's like full-time jobs. And like obviously ad revenue isn't always something we can rely off of. So that's why we have a Patreon, something I would like to grow. But also I want to acknowledge something that I don't think Scott really touched on because he's like, oh, we only have one patron. One, it doesn't, at least for me, I don't like pushing my Patreon all the time, especially videos. Like,
yeah.
And then there's also the fact that since we're talking about animation, a good portion of viewers are young. Not even that they're like in elementary school, but they may be teenagers who don't have jobs, or they may they can get their parents to buy them some merch offline, but support this content creator I watch on Patreon, like give them a direct amount of money. That seems a little more sketchy. Like if I was a parent, I would totally understand why that's sketchy. So for him to just come at them for their Patreon saying they don't need it, and then what I found what started to really get me mad is when he was like, everyone, tweet the Federator, ask them why they need Patreon. And then he acknowledged that Alyssa, who I consider a good friend of mine who works at Federator, who I really connected with over the last year or so, he knew damn well that she runs social media. He even said, Alyssa's job is going to be a lot harder tomorrow, but you know what? It's a job. She has to do her job. It's not going to be fun all the time. If she's supposed to be your friend, because I saw up to this, she would still reply to his tweets and everything. She definitely saw him as a friend. Why would you do your friend like that?
That's foul, bro. That's not even funny because it's actually her job.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand if you're kidding around with her and just like, poking fun at her outside of that, but this is business. Like, you're bringing that into it, and she's the only one that he likes out of Federator now, and that like separates her from her coworkers in the sense of, oh, do I treat this as a friend or not? It's like,
Yeah, I don't
why
think
would
she
you?
likes him anymore.
Yeah, he
Of
was
course
using his
not.
audience to raid quite a bit. He raided also on Twitch stream of DSP Gaming.
Yeah.
Bro, that
But the
man.
funny thing about that is I was watching that in real time. He didn't even acknowledge the raid, but like his mods basically put it into like a followers only chat. But I want to get back to what Vox was saying earlier. There was a time when I was starting off YouTube, I had a really bad computer and it would take a long time. Like I joke about this to this day. When I did my Q&A video, it took literally 3 days, 3 whole days in rendering time. So
Jesus, what?
when I was working my butt off in the summer, putting out 3 videos a week, I still don't know how I was doing that. All of that money went into me getting this new computer and this external hard drive, the monitor, like all of that, like even getting a new microphone. In fact, no, Patreon. My Patreon money actually helped me get this new Blue Yeti because my older one is starting to break down. Like if that's doing it for the money, then shoot, I'm doing it for the money. But like with my Patreon, like I'm totally upfront and transparent with like when people donate there, like what I'm getting with it. I put like what I'm going to be getting with it there. Everything that all the money that I get, I'm not the type of person to like get a whole bunch of stuff. Like I either reinvest it back into like this YouTube thing or like something for myself every once in a while. Like I got a Switch, but it's mainly for my siblings. And I plan to get my brother his first laptop because like I feel like that's something that I'd want to give to him. And that's based off of like YouTube money. Like I don't it's not my priority, My priority is having a big community. Like me, I get what he was trying to say with the whole Patreon thing, how some people like the bigger you get, it would appear so. But I think the misconception that he's having is something that's actually pretty dangerous to say in the community because with this whole YouTube demonetization thing, one thing that I think a lot of people need to understand is that although you are a partner with YouTube or whatever like that, you probably shouldn't make AdSense your primary revenue or 100% of it. You should even smaller. Like you should try to do other things like super chat, merchandise, Patreon, sponsors or whatever. Like because one day if YouTube, because essentially you kind of have a boss when you have AdSense like that. And if they cut you off, then what? And I've always tried to like push out different sources of revenue because I don't want to get into a position where like if my videos keep getting demonetized or stuff like that, then I can't do what I do. So I don't see Patreon so much as a form of like I'm getting more money. It's more of like I'm being financially stable and I'm able to do this. And it's really just and even though it's a cliche to say that, donating to me is helping you guys out. It like if you want to see someone stay on the platform, it doesn't even have to be me, but like whoever. All the like when you do more than AdSense for someone like merch or something like that, it kind of helps them. It reinforces them to stay on here because they know that if YouTube doesn't want to be their friend anymore, they have an audience that can hold them down. So that's what I kind of see Patreon as, especially. And I can't sit here and say that I'm not for the money because that's how I got my PC, and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I was
I've
in
never,
the same boat.
I've never like appreciated when people say like animation reviewers are in it for the money because they talk about like popular stuff,
Yeah.
When I first started, my computer was garbage. It was actually like trash. But through YouTube, I've been able to get enough money to get like a super beast of a computer.
Yeah.
And like that's for YouTube and also for myself because like this is what I do. This is my job that I've created for myself. I don't ever feel guilty about using my money because it's my money that I've earned. Like
Yeah.
not everything has to go right back into YouTube. I'm not a slave to this. I don't have a Patreon because I feel like I didn't need one. I don't know, something about it. I just don't. I'd rather it be more in like closer to this. It's hard for me to sum up in words why I don't want to have a Patreon, at least right now in this mind state. But I understand why people do. Like it makes a lot of sense, especially for content creators where YouTube is far from stable. Like we've seen how terrible it can get. And, artists don't create, YouTube content, but our artists on like Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, they have Patreons, and, that's how they make their living. People donate to them, and they're able to do something great, and like they can provide tutorials and like assets and Photoshop files and all that stuff. And I think that's pretty cool. Like for me, I don't really have much to offer outside of the content that I do on YouTube in terms of like what a patron would receive. So if anything, if it came down to getting donations, I'd much rather it be like me live streaming or something like that, where I'm actually providing something in the moment where you can, benefit and say, hey, thank you for this.
Yeah, that's the point I don't really agree with them on.
You can't look at everything in the same way. Like he's projecting himself onto everything. Like he's fake, so he thinks that everyone else is fake, and he's trying to expose people for being fake because that's what he is. It's like, no, bro, you're in a boat by yourself. Like you're trying to drag us all down with you, which is also not cool. Like you got to think about it. He's not just making a fool of himself in front of Frederator. Like Frederator may look at us differently now and be like, oh, are they all going to just turn on us like this? Is this what we're really signing up for? Yeah, and the advertisers he works with, where he was talking trash about them, oh my God, are they going to be like, well, we don't really want to work with them now because after the fact they're going to say that this was actually garbage, and then people are going to move away from our product?
Yeah, like with Frederator, like I didn't see it to the morning after, but during the stream, I got an email because I did a Jessica Jones video. In fact, I did voiceover for them. And they asked me if I still wanted the video to go up because of the stream. And I just felt awful for them because, like, they really... I can see how they would think, okay, this guy... Because keep in mind, Scoutfly wasn't a 20,000, 30,000 sub channel, which is not a bad number. He had triple digits, over 100,000.
Yeah.
For him to do that was just... It was disgraceful. And, like, he was saying, like, shame on Frederator. He was, like, pissed views. Like, he was coming at them for their view count. But
yeah, that's another thing.
He came at Skyward Wing talking about Dead Channel. Bro, I don't know if you've seen your social blade, but it's all red. This man lost 521 subscribers. Negative 521 in a single day. Are you kidding me? Get out of here. Nobody wants to hear this squiggly swoosh shit, man.
He was saying like everyone at Frederator was incompetent and deserved to be fired. But then afterwards he was like, Frederator was nice to me. Like they didn't do anything wrong to me. So he acknowledges he didn't do a single thing wrong to him. Yet he had the audacity to say they all deserve to lose their jobs and they all deserve to be fired because they weren't quote unquote pulling in the views. Dude, I don't know if you heard of this little thing called YouTube, but it's constantly changing. That means sometimes your views are going to be in a rough spot. I think we've all have had, times where our views have been lower than normal. So like it was just utterly disrespectful, not just even Predator, but like the entire community. And the fact that he had so many subscribers, it's embarrassing. The fact that like, as we were talking about on the previous podcast I was on, Jay and Shadow, you were saying like not many people in this community have over 100,000 subscribers. So the fact he was one of them, the fact that he could have been viewed as a top dog, and he was faking it the entire time. The fact that he was saying he did it just for money, that he took every sponsor for money. The fact that when he was dissing Quid and Amino, and like he
talked a lot of crap about Amino.
Look. If you,
all my Amino videos, they've been quite nice to me.
Exactly.
If you sign on with something like that, like you shouldn't go afterwards and talk shit. Like that doesn't make any sense. I've never signed on with them, so I can talk as much trash as I want. But like, I understand like if you wanted to talk bad about your job, because we've all had bad jobs. Well, I haven't, but I mean, like in in America, people say, "Oh, we all had bad jobs." So you can talk trash behind the scenes with people. Just say, "Oh, this is my experience," but you have to realize that you have a platform. And, I guess maybe for some people, a sense of responsibility doesn't come along with that, but it should, because you are projecting your voice to so many people. Think of like, I remember Swaggy Thunder told this to me. He was saying how like, it's so crazy how we make videos and at all times, there is someone listening to our voice somewhere in the world. Right now, there is someone listening to our voice. And that just like, it's such a simple concept, but it just blew my mind because it's like, even if we're not reaching that many people in the grand scheme of things, as he put it. Like we're all small or whatever. We're touching people. Like who cares? Like if I can change 100 people's lives for the better, that's worth it. Like that's more than a lot of people do in their lives, where they do just simple jobs and just live for themselves. We're able to project our voices and change the world. As small as it may seem, it is something, and that's a lot more than a lot of people accomplish.
Yeah, that's something else Scott Fly said. He was like, look, we're all nobodies. Like, even people, it doesn't matter if you have 100,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers, 300 subscribers, you're nobody to everyone else. So it's like, what? Like,
speak for yourself, dog.
What gives you the platform to say that? And not even to mention, it just got, like, some parts are just messy. Not even about the cartoon community. Like, he started going in on his ex-girlfriend, or, like,
yep.
And
that's
like,
another thing.
And how,
he started using derogatory terms in a non-ironic way.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, sorry, I like saying the slur for gay people. That's a really hurtful term." And
maybe he thinks it's okay to say it because he said he's bisexual. But like, I have never said the hard R word in a non-ironic way. Yeah. Like, there's no way I've ever been able to say that in a non-ironic way. But the way he was saying it, it was an insult. It was just like straight up a insult of other people. And it's like, yo, what's good with you? There's something wrong with you. This man compared himself to Britney Spears. Like, he said somebody had to Britney Spears the hell out. Like, what?
It's funny you said that.
Life.
Like, I remember the first thing that came to my head, like watching a stream, we were laughing about it in our Discord VC. I was like, "Who hurt you? Who hurt this?"
Yeah, everyone started putting that in the chat. I hurt myself.
Like, that's I use that non-ironically as when someone gives me like a negative comment, because like it honestly does, it felt like that. And there is something, I don't know if you guys saw, I'm gonna get into that later, but yeah, there is actually an answer to that.
And he said something that everyone was like calling him out for, because at this point we were in a Discord calling the fan with this. Every time he would talk shit about someone, as he had the entire cartoon community had like their eyes on him. Some like that person he was talking shit about would pop up in the chat, and then he would talk more back. Someone sent a second message, he would immediately backtrack.
Yo, that man is
like, he didn't stop.
It was more than just me, Shadow, and Vox. It was other people in the community that dropped
like
in.
He talked shit about so many people, and every time that person he talked shit about would be like, "Yo, like, what's good?" He'd be like, "Well, actually, I never watched your videos."
I never had any problems with you.
Like, he cannot say the entire community is shit, everyone's fake, and then 2 seconds later be like, "Well, I'm sure you enjoy making your content." No, you can't do that in the span of 30 seconds.
Word, you're the only fake one.
Exactly.
Like, he was apparently friends with Vox, but he made a joke about me and Vox being the same thing because we're both black. And he went really close to the microphone to say it because it was so important.
Yeah, so to reference that, if like a month ago, he made a video how to be popular on YouTube in 2018. And he made a joke. He was like, start beef. And he used the roundtable as an example, which I didn't mind because, we were so cool at that point. And then he's like, "Hey, Ostrich Vox," and he put a picture of SliceOfOtaku. And at the time I was thinking, well, it's probably just because we're both Steveverse channels. But no, he made a point on his stream to say it was because we're both black. Like, and he didn't see an issue with that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, he was saying how Sky's channel is a dead channel and Sky is like fake famous or whatever. And then everybody, whenever anyone else like shouts me out in a video, like, my comment section lets me know. Ain't nobody tell me about no Scout Fly video, so obviously nobody cares about coming over here. You're not relevant, bro.
The worst I got was I got called a badger.
A badger? Yeah. What is that? What?
Yeah, because he thought my panda avatar was a badger.
Oh,
Lord.
But going back to the whole dead channel thing, he made it a point. He said that Channel Frederator, the only reason why it's doing so well is because of its backlogs, and that it's a 1 million sub channel and it's not really getting the views you would think you would associate with a 1 million sub channel.
You see, and that pissed me off because one, if you notice, they're not posting as much. Two, they're trying to integrate both cartoon and live action content.
Yeah.
So, and like I noticed, it's kind of rough at first, but these videos are picking up, or like they did like cartoon conspiracy 3 weeks ago, over 500,000 views on Who Was Really Red X. So there you go, right there. There's your hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views that he was saying they need.
He talked a
Like,
lot
he
of
was
crap
saying-
about 107s.
Yeah, it's like what they're a staple of the channel, and like it's lucrative. Sorry, they found something that works. Like, just because you didn't have the greatest experience working there doesn't mean it as a whole is shit. And really, it just sounded like I don't even know what it sounded like, because to me, it sounds like he got exactly what he signed up for, and he had a problem with it.
Yeah, it's
Like-
sad. The fact that this man was saying that was his big old dream, like, and then he just shit on it after. It's like, what are you doing, bro?
It just everything rubbed me the wrong way. And the thing, because he was saying at the end of the day, they're a corporation, like everyone working there is just a job to them, and they don't care about money. Here's what I have to say about that, and this is the thing that has been kind of works in a while, and I can talk about it now. Like, only the reason why I couldn't talk about it is just like, should I or not? Something that I need to make clear that shows that Frederator is more than just a greedy corporation is that for people who've been following me for a long time, for like the last, like, I would say like year or so, you guys know that I've been pining for an office, that I want to work beyond out of my house, an actual office space. And huge inspirations to me have been YouTubers have their own offices, like how SourceFed did, or how Sugar Pie 7 does now, or like Philip DeFranco. And Frederator, they have their own office, an office I've been in, and they knew how much that meant to me. So out of no other obligation but out of the kindness of their own house, they set like a meeting with the general manager. We talked, and they gave me a grant to get an office. I don't want to say how much it is, but I think it was a lot. It was definitely more than necessary.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So for him to just say, "Oh, they only care about money," like they literally are taking a risk on me that they have known with any other creator they have in the network before. And know that I'm the example, because they said they want to do it with other, they want to kind of develop it. I don't want to say anything concrete because, one, I don't want to speak for them. Two, it isn't my business. So the fact that I am an example and this could lead to more things, really get the fuck out of here saying they just care about money. Obviously, their business, they do want to make a profit at the end of the day, but giving out, hey, free money so people in their network can make, great content. Yeah, obviously, a part of it is ideally they'll make more content and make the network more money. But again, there has to be some passion in there to even consider that in the first place, because it is a risk.
He's just screaming at capitalism at this point. Like, he just doesn't like the way in which society works with money. Maybe because he doesn't have it anymore, but it is what it is.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. He said like he essentially saved a lot, and if he needs to work again, he is. So like right now he's not working at all.
He's not doing anything, and like
hopefully your future employers don't feel any type of way based on how you talk. Don't go into media, bro.
Yeah, this is something I don't know if we're at like kind of the end of the discussion now. I'll put it right now. I was gonna save towards the end, regardless. But this stream, his channel, I know he wants to eradicate Scoutfly. Just an image out here, but all those videos, that stream he did talking smack about his previous employer, that who he admit did nothing wrong to him. Everyone in his community, so his peers, his sponsors, everyone that he worked with, that's gonna follow him for the rest of his fucking life. There's just no way around that. Scoutfly is a part of him for the rest of his fucking life. People will bring up that stream for his fucking life. And heaven forbid he ever returns to making content. If any sponsors, if any network finds out about this stream, it's just a wrap for him, because he's now a liability, because he made an ass out of himself and everyone that he fucking worked with.
My thing is, you could have walked out of this all clean. You could have washed your hands and said, you know what? I had to come clean. I wasn't really genuine with my cartoon content. And just come with that narrative. And it's like, okay, all right, we see you. And then, but I want to do something else. Like, if that's where he took his next step, like, I want to do something else. He doesn't have to, but like, that would just say that the doors are open and he doesn't have to burn every single bridge around him. Because the thing is, it's hard breaking into YouTube. It is hard for a lot of people. But because he had that prior footing, he could probably start something else. Like PewDiePie, it's a different stratosphere because he's like huge. But PewDiePie used to do like, horror video games and playing games and stuff. He doesn't play games much anymore. But people stuck around with him and now he's the real PewDiePie apparently. And people stuck around with him because he's doing his own thing and he established himself prior. It's not that hard. Like it may be bad to the algorithm. They'll be like, wait, whoa, what are you doing now? You changing everything up. But your audience, like, there are obviously people who are down to rock with this new edgy form of him. he could have taken those in a different direction than just making them all loathe the cartoon community because they're all fake. Like, come on, dog.
It's funny you say that about like, because he was flexing about how much numbers he had. Despite saying he doesn't compare YouTube, he's like, right now we have 300, 200 people in here. Okay, have you considered the fact that the reason why you have that is because one, you have a clickbait, title as your stream. YouTube ruined me. YouTube. No. First of all, he even said this stuff. He ruined himself. Everything he did was of his own accord. YouTube didn't do shit to him.
No.
Secondly,
he walked into this with the wrong parameters, and that's what a lot of people need to. That's one of the things that people always say. If you're gonna start a YouTube channel, do what you like. Be real. Be yourself. Don't be anyone else. Because it's things like this that happen. You end up self-destructing.
And the second thing I was going to say is that maybe another reason why he had so many viewers because everyone fucking cartoon community was watching because we were all talking to each other about it. And by extension, the fans were looking just like, oh, this was stuff with Scoutfly. Like, people were spreading this. Like, Pam made a Tumblr post about it saying like, oh, watching a former YouTuber who quit vape on stream and yelling about Patreon. People were blogging it saying, yeah, Scoutfly. So people knew this is something that spread. And honestly, the fact that it spread and you're in a 100K channel and only got 300 views.
That's ugly, bro.
At his numbers, I was pulling in like 800 viewers a stream. That's not me trying to flex to you guys. That's me just flexing on him because just thinking about it pissed me off. Like, I'm not even saying I hate Scoutfly now. I don't hate Justin if he ends up listening to this. Like, I don't hate you, but I am extremely pissed at you. And that anger is going to last for a while. It's going to linger. And I don't want it to linger, but like, it was just so fucking, it was just fucked up.
He's mad cocky and full of himself. He loves saying like, he loves saying Scoutfly in his prime. Scoutfly in his prime. Talking in the third person. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, your biggest feat was reviewing, what was it? Egg and something for Amazon, getting $500. Like,
yeah, he like slammed Amazon because it was an awful show. Or like they asked you to review a product. It was a job. Oh my god! It was.
You're slandering Amazon, dog. Amazon. Right. That means anybody who try to work with you ain't worth shit. Because Amazon, we all use Amazon. You can't tell me you in America you don't use Amazon. Come on, that's just absolutely stupid. The thing is, you were told to review this show, and he said he felt obligated to talk good about it. Well, duh. If like they're paying you for this show, if you put up that video and like you weren't getting paid, you'd get like what? $13 off it or something. Like nobody cares about that. But you're getting $500, and that's a good amount of like views worth of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll cover you.
Exactly, from this little ass video. That's multiple of his content at the time. So it's just like, why would you think that they would pay you that to talk bad about the show? You're here to promo it. You're not. If you had said to them, I want to reserve the right to speak my mind openly and freely about it, that's a different business transaction. It doesn't seem like he understands how business transactions work.
Oh my, okay, yeah, that actually reminds me. Before I go into what that reminded me of, he was saying how the Nick box. He was like, "Yeah, I took that just because I could." When I was over the Nick box, I was sad. I was like, "Hell yeah, Nickelodeon!" Like, what? You don't have to accept it just because.
Oh
you
yeah,
could.
the Nick
and
box.
Him saying that was extremely condescending. He's like, "Oh yeah, I sold all that shit. I got it from the Nick box." Like, dude,
that man said he sold the shirt for $40. Like,
yeah, so I could buy some retro swag.
That was cringe, dog.
I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but when I forgot who, but I was approached to like cover the new OKKO game. That was actually pretty exciting to me. I felt
I got approached by that too. Like I didn't watch the show, so
it felt like they had faith in me, to like do this, and I don't know.
Really, all he did by accepting things that he didn't really want to do was just make it harder on himself because he's the one who has to, make the video, who has to edit it, record it. And that leads to the next point. He bitched about how he's like, oh, the business side of YouTube is awful. I was basically my own CEO. I was my own accountant. And yeah. And I don't want to say who it was because I don't know if they want me to put their name out there, but I was talking to my friend about that. And literally his immediate response was, what's the first part of YouTube? You! No shit. You gotta do this on your own unless you have a fucking team. Like he was saying, oh, I had to do taxes and they save all my receipts. It was like, yeah, welcome to being a fucking content creator on YouTube.
I feel like this man signed up not knowing what he was doing. Like he don't like anything, but it's like someone had a gun to his head this whole 3 years. Like, come on, be a grown man.
Now the thing is, I actually do have something I was saving, but I kind of wanted to let everyone else talk before I bring it up. But Shadow, do you have anything?
Everything that was already said is pretty much my thoughts.
Yeah,
pretty much.
basically.
All right, so I'm gonna get into it then because I feel like you no one has brought it up yet, so I feel like you guys haven't watched it. All right, so pretty much there's a part in his stream where he essentially finally, I know it's a meme, but like tells us who hurt him. And it was a combination of two things. I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna let you guys speak, and then I'm gonna get into what I thought. Because I haven't really been saying too much about like how I like my perspective of it yet. I've kind of saved it into the end because this is a big part of why I feel the way I do. So he kind of gets into this, and I'm gonna get into, so the first part is pretty much that he was in a 3-year relationship with someone and he didn't know that it was abusive until the very end, which kind of caused him to contribute to his depression. He ended up breaking up with this person and he went on Twitter about it. He was basically saying like, know your self-worth and stuff like that. So that was one side of it. The other side of it is what actually got him to tear up a little bit on the stream, which was he was talking about the bee tattoo that was under his arm. And he was saying like the bee that's in his branding for stuff with Scoutfly actually has a bigger purpose. And the purpose is his friend, because his friend got him into watching Adventure Time. And that friend unfortunately died in a car crash. He hit a telephone pole. And it was one of his closest friends. And that led into him having like a deep depression that he couldn't talk to anyone about. And his friend never got to see stuff with Scoutfly. And he was essentially saying like, if he was here, he probably would have been a part of it and stuff like that. And he's saying, and this is what we were talking about earlier, like wait, before we even recorded, that's when he was saying like stuff like talking to the people in a live stream help, stuff like listening to albums like XXX and Tashian's new album help. He said pretty much that's what got him through that. And from my perspective, I was trying to think like, because he was trying to set up a timeline for all of this. And okay, so his friend passing away happened before it, and I was trying to figure out, okay, if you didn't want to do this, like you weren't passionate about this, like what led you into like becoming stuff with Scoutfly? Because if that was something that was really like impactful on your life, how would that lead into you developing a persona to essentially hide who the real Justin is? And that's when I came to the realization that even if that was the case, when we're talking about YouTube doesn't contact people to like make videos. You know, you make them yourself, which kind of negates any point that he can make. You know, like it does suck that it happened, and you know, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. You know, to deal with the type of pain that would go through. But at the same time, you know, no one put like, it's kind of like what Otaku said, like no one put a gun to you and said that you had to make videos on animation. And what kind of annoyed me was when he was picking up like Green Day albums and he was talking in depth about it, and I was like, why didn't you just do a channel on this?
Right?
Why didn't you had like other interests? And it just felt like there was an easy solution to this. Like if you wanted to do stuff with Scoutfly, then do stuff with Scoutfly. Talk about vaping, talk about Green Day, talk about that thing that interests you. You never really had to do this. I've never met anyone on this platform, especially in our community, that was different in a significant way off camera. Everyone that I've talked to has been very like more or less the same. Yeah, I understand that, you know, he was in that tough time, and that tough time probably didn't necessarily help what because he went off on a tangent about mental health and how people don't talk about that. He essentially opened up his DMs for anyone who wanted to like talk to him about his problems, like talk to him about their problems. Sorry. He essentially, because he kind of made that part of the stream, which a lot of people didn't watch. And I wouldn't blame them because it's like a 7-hour stream and he kind of already got to what he was talking about earlier. Presumably, I haven't seen that part yet. So like he kind of dedicated that part to talking about why, quote unquote, is the way he is, and how now he feels like he doesn't need to put on a front, but like I feel like all of that is negated because you didn't have to put one on in the first place if you were already passionate about something.
My thing is, my condolences to his losses and things like that and what he went through. But I don't think that that happening should have caused him to self-destruct in this capacity where he is just like burning everything around him.
Yeah.
It's if the person he was with was abusive and things like that, like you're giving her the last laugh, like you're giving her an easy win. You're abusing yourself at this point, and maybe this is him venting. This makes him feel better in the moment, but like Vox said, like this will follow you. The thing is that children watch you, like people who like cartoons, they watch you. I feel bad for anyone who ever looked up to Scoutfly and said like admired what he does, because this is just like it's truly disheartening. Like if this were my hero, it's just like you're hurting so many more people because you were apparently hurt, and I don't support that in any way, shape, or form. Sitting there and saying that you wikied all your stuff and you never really cared, but then to say that your friend got you into this stuff, it's two things. It's like, one, if your parents tell you to be a doctor, you just end up being a doctor. Like, are you just following what he wished for and neglecting your own wishes? And the other side is, are you disrespecting their memory by orchestrating this facade for so long? Because if your friend was a fan of Adventure Time, think about the kids or whatever who are fans of Adventure Time that you covered, and to find out that all of that was a lie, all of that was fake. It's just like, dude, why? That's so unnecessary. Like you said, you could do other things. Nobody's forcing you on YouTube. You can do literally, well, not literally, but pretty much anything you want to on YouTube and be creative and be yourself. You don't have to pretend to be anything to be successful.
It just really like racks my brain because like you were saying, like it feels like at this point either he started the channel as a homage to his friend, or
Yeah, I don't know, but that would be a great thing to find out. But continue.
yeah. But if it wasn't, it was just like, so he had. What really trips me up is that the B is really significant. It represents that friend. That's heavy. That's heavy stuff. That clearly means a lot. So for him to say, "Oh, Scoutfly was a job. It was just a job. It was because he did say at the end of the day, it was just a gig. It was just a job. It was
Doesn't make sense.
Like what? So what the fuck does your friend mean to you then? Like I just can't imagine having. I'm assuming he was a close friend who was in animation, who was into all this stuff, and you willingly every single day fake fool the fuck out of your entire audience, making this bullshit content that you wikied, but then you're saying, "Oh, well, this person is a friend." It's like, what does your friend even mean? And I don't want to come off disrespectful because I know that's not disrespectful. But like, what the fuck did your friend mean to you then for you to really disrespect what he loved? Because it is disrespectful to bullshit this content, to bullshit the people that are subscribed to you, look forward to your content every single day. That's like the most disingenuine thing you could do, and it goes beyond YouTube. It's just disrespecting like every fucking person who's ever watched you.
Yeah, and it's not like we're gonna appreciate him for telling the truth now because you've been doing this for 3 years. It's like if someone were stealing from me for 3 years straight, and then one day they decided, hey, I've been stealing from you. I'm just gonna tell the truth and expect my forgiveness. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like that's just trashy. That's just classless. Do what you enjoy, man. If it's a job, let us know from the jump. Let us know that you're just regurgitating stuff because you don't deserve, like, honestly, you don't deserve anything that you have in terms of YouTube, in terms of like notoriety and things like that. You truly don't. If that's how you approached it and that's what you gave us, just content that was already on the internet, like that's so bad.
Yeah, and then something else he said, he was like, he was flexing about New York Comic Con. He was like, yeah, I got to, they paid my way there. I didn't go. Like, he was trying to make it sound like it was cool, but like, one, in actuality, as long as you have a sizable following, you're getting into New York Comic Con. Like,
Yeah, someone who was smaller and hungrier probably could have used that.
Second of all, it's like that would have been in a place where he could have met. We were supposed to hang out there. We were making plans, but like, I'm just imagining if he ran into a fan who's younger, like elementary, middle school, maybe even like early high school, who like fucking loved his content.
Yeah,
and maybe that's part of the reason why he backed out because he didn't want to deal with that reality.
Yeah,
but like because I just think about all the times I've met fans at like MomoCon, at Beach City Con, at New York Comic Con. Exactly. Like at New York Comic Con, there was a Seavers fan meetup, and I walked in, and I was bombarded by like with hugs from a bunch of kids. I'm just imagining I don't even know how I would react if I was bullshitting that. Like, heaven forbid he went and they had the exact same reaction to him.
Yeah, that's That's crazy to even consider, because like with what we do, I don't think any of us could do what we do if we didn't enjoy it. Like that just sounds unbearable to me. If like, let's say I hated Steven Universe, how could I make this content? Like it baffles me to sit here like and make content every single week, like multiple videos per week of things that I just genuinely do not like. That's hard to even fathom. It's like he's just trying to throw everything that has compiled his life, that has been his life for the last 3 years, away. And I understand stepping out of an abusive relationship, or what you found out to be an abusive relationship. That's a good step, but you don't have to take a bunch of bad steps to equate it, like to make things balance out. You're not helping anyone, less of all yourself.
Yeah, it's like, to me, I mean, this platform does mean a lot to me, even though I'm like, yo, business side of things, they're kind of scheduled monetization thing.
Oh yeah, we talk trash about YouTube itself all the time.
Yeah, but like as a platform, like its community, like it is genuinely helped me grow and like help me like mature and become a better person, because I'm someone who's very hard-headed, very stubborn, and like, my experiences with everyone I met, or like just my viewers, and like the patience that making the videos taught me has made me as a better person. And I feel like it's done the exact opposite for him, because I didn't see someone who was gaining respect. He was being real, and it's the true him. All I saw was someone who was just saying, yeah, I faked it all, and I don't regret burning every bridge. It was just, it was sad. Like, it was just sad. It wasn't.
Yeah, man. Like,
it was the exact opposite of what he's trying to perpetuate.
I can be a very harsh person with my wording and things like that, but with YouTube, I try to be a better me. It's made me a better in terms of just how I approach certain issues and approach people, and just care for my common, person a lot more. And it makes me want to, like I said earlier in the podcast, it makes me want to elevate further and grow larger and have more of an influence.
So any like closing thoughts you have, like, going forward?
I mean, it was just an eye-opener to me, because again, this was someone who I considered a friend, and it's just a reminder that, like, what people say, like, you can't fucking trust everyone. It's true, and I'm a very trusting person. I'm someone who, I would, and I talked to you about this, Jay, that stream happened. Like, I would love if everyone in the community was friends. You're just real. It's like, that's not something that is really possible, and that's just a reality, and that's not like, it's just people differ. Unfortunately, there are fakes out there like Scoutfly who think.
Yeah, I would have never known.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy that, because usually when people fake it, you can tell. Like, I've seen so many like people who don't have piss anything for subscribers or views, like just like searching something, making Cartoon Schedule rants or Teen Titans Go rants, and like this literally isn't anything like anyone particular with like a following. I'm talking about like people who made their channel like a day ago. And like, they're clearly just trying to get views and stuff. Yeah, and it's just crazy.
Trying to emulate other people.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that like it worked for him, and he wheeled his way up to the top. It's just, honestly, like, at the end of the day, I just feel used, because he was, you're one of the people in the content community whose content I watch. Bull fucking shit if you don't even watch Steven Universe. How the fuck do you understand my fucking video?
Yeah, for real. Yeah. And like, looking at what his content looked like, his layout was all like colorful and chipper and all that. Like, I don't know how you do. If he has been this way the entire time, how do you do that? Like Mars was saying, how do you just sit there and eat animal crackers and talk about the 90s when this is the true you? Like, that's like pathological liar type stuff. Like, that's an actual serious issue to have.
It's really funny that he was so, Scoutfly is done for, or Scoutfly is done, when the thumbnail for that stream was in the style of a Scoutfly video or thumbnail. Because that's the exact same
very
background
colorful
pattern used.
Man,
same font.
It was like,
who are you? Squiggly, Scoosh, or Scout?
It's just crazy, because at the end of the day, and he kept saying about the stream, I know in the game, but gain my own dignity and your respect back. And he literally said the words, I've been at the top. I'm the only one who's come down to tell the story, or something like that. It's like, he
thinks he's so righteous. Oh my god,
he sounds so high and mighty, when in reality, this was a 21-year-old kid and just sitting in his
that's another
room.
Thing. He's 21.
Yeah, who's not even working, who hasn't worked in months.
I gotta go through this. I remember I joked about that. Like, am I gonna go through this in a year? Like, everything. Just gonna be
Like,
like fall
one
on
of
my
our
face.
Yeah,
one of
just
our
sitting
friends
in
was
front of
saying
his
like
laptop.
he's just hitting his middle school like edgy phase.
Yes, it feels like he's regressing, and like with everything he said was saying, "Oh, throwing around slurs like they're candy, throwing around slurs like he's Oprah giving away gifts to her audience." It was just so bad. Ugh.
He also went back and forth with this person who made a video on him named Rebel Sprout.
Oh yeah, I just kept hearing him say Rebel
And then he
Sprout.
would be like,
Who the hell
shame,
is that?
shame, shame, shame.
Yeah, he just kept saying shame and like I haven't watched Rebel Sprout's video, but I don't know.
I don't know.
It was too like, and it's like if that's someone made a video on you, and you're supposed to be like, if you're supposed to be over this community, why are you spending over half of your stream arguing with this person? Okay, I don't want to say over half because it was 7 fucking hours.
So,
why are you spending
It was a
portion of your
significant
stream?
amount, like focused on that
Yes.
one
This Rebel
particular
Sprout
person.
person was like a fan of his.
I don't know. He just made a video on him. That's the thing.
What did anyone watch it?
No.
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
I don't
gonna
even
say,
watch
'cause,
Scott
like-
Fly's content. I wouldn't watch someone analyzing his content.
Exactly. Same, but
I don't know. Like I just remember like when I heard about stuff with Scott Fly, the only thing I liked his thumbnails. I remember going to Shadow and being like, oh my god, this guy's thumbnails is incredible. But beyond that, no, I was never interested in it because the way that he talked about things was just not for me. I'm not a casual animation watcher. Like I feel like I like analytical stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you spend 10 minutes on something that's like that I would have never saw unless you explained it in that way. Like Scott Fly didn't do things like that. So I was never interested in it. I never bashed it. I just was never interested in it.
Yeah.
I guess real recognize real. Like we smelt the fake.
Yeah, it's
Didn't even have to see it.
crazy. What's really crazy to me, people were saying his content was like generic and average. And personally, I didn't see. I was just like, yo, you know, he's trying. He's out there on that grind. But like, you know, now that we know he wiki shit, clearly people saw that for a reason.
Yeah.
And also something that he came after Frederator for, I forgot about this. And this is something that, you know, struck a chord with me is he bashed him for uploading daily. And again, he's like, oh,
yeah,
you know,
that's
I like
one
your
point
content,
I actually
Ross, but-
disagreed with them on.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you know, I like the roundtables content. We posted daily back then.
Yeah.
Daily, motherfucker.
He was
Plus,
saying, like-
this is what shows that he's just in a bubble, showing that, like, you know, he thinks one channel has to be like all of them. Okay, just because I can see if it's like one solo person putting out content every day, even then, you know, they're on that fucking grind, they're working hard. But Frederator is a team. The Roundtable is a team. There's so many channels out there post daily that have a team around them.
Yeah.
So what's so bad about posting daily?
Why
I
would you
would
even
love to do
complain
that.
about free content? I don't understand.
Right?
If you don't like a video, you don't have to watch it. If you don't like a channel, you can block it. Like what?
He
What is there to
literally
complain about
called
here?
his exact words for uploading daily was soulless. That if you upload daily, you have no soul. And Slice, at
That
one
doesn't make
point,
sense.
and I'm sure there's a point you'd like to get back to again, you were posting daily. Your
Oh,
content's
yeah.
not soulless.
Of course.
I would love to do that.
Exactly. Like,
Yo, posting daily at this point is painful. I told you that editing is harsh.
yes.
So, like, you know, to do that, to post daily, that's more soul as far as I'm concerned. That's giving it up, doing
Like
so
you said.
much.
Like yeah, you're putting in like life is finite. So like you're putting in like some of the best years of your life into this. you know?
Exactly. And if you're like, if the content is watered down because you're putting out like more, then that's a different story. But I don't think that Frederator is, you know, watered down. I think they just keep doing their thing. You know, they're doing what's true to them.
Yeah, and it's like, I can understand people saying Frederator's content is formulaic because they have series, you know, like 107 facts or 7 facts on this or Easter eggs you may have missed.
Yeah, but people like
that's
series.
interesting. Exactly. I think that's
Steven
interesting.
Universe is a
I'm
series.
I'm trying to have like a series like that I do. What
Yeah,
the hell? That's
same.
good. Like box is crystal clear and things like that. That's something that
Yeah,
entices
you
people.
want
They wanna
people to
follow
like be
up.
like, yeah. You want people to be like, I'm looking forward to X series of yours, you know?
Exactly. Like think about gaming, right? That's like one of the biggest things on YouTube.
Yeah.
People love let's plays, right? They love continuous episodes. What? Because that's a series that's selling now? Like that's trash? Get out of here with that one size fits all stuff. This is YouTube.
Yeah, he was just like towards everything, like with the sponsors. He was like, "Oh, you know, they didn't do anything. You know, fuck those sponsors. That was garbage." He was like, "Can you believe these losers $350 talk about this for 35 seconds?" Like, I mean, that sounds amazing. So I don't know why you're like just knocking that. Like, you're clearly never gonna get the opportunity again. Like,
Yeah, he burnt the bridges with a lot of sponsors. But going forward, like he said he's gonna be doing more streams. I mean, I'll catch him if I can,
Ain't
but
nobody want that.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep doing my own thing, you know.
All you're getting with that is, oh, poor me.
Mhm.
Oh, everyone's fake. My world is trash. Go listen to some like emo rap if that's what.
Yeah, despite that stream being 7 hours, he actually managed to just repeat himself the entire time, aside from like his breakthrough of his origin story. So I can't imagine what future streams would be like that would separate it, aside from, oh hey, did you hear about this person? He'd be like, oh, you know, the hoodie's fake anyways, I'm done with it. Like that's just what the streams are just gonna be.
I feel like his fans are gonna ask a lot about the community going forward because he's kind of etched himself into it. So people are gonna be
Exactly. So,
interested
like-
in like associations and whatnot.
The thing
Mhm.
is, like the cartoon community, it's relatively small. It's growing, definitely. It's growing bigger than it's ever been,
Mhm.
but it's still something small. So he's taking a subsection of YouTube that he's further dividing because the only people who are going to watch his streams are people who watched him in the past, people who like this stuff in the past and want to see what he's like now. And so I don't know how much you expect to pull out afterwards, like after a while, because you know, after it was already a broken record with the first stream. So what's the percent? What's coming up next?
What gets me also is that he said on the stream, he was like, I just woke up this morning and knew I had to do this. Like, what? Make a fucking ass of yourself?
That's just
Yeah, he
stupid,
said
man.
he said that someone convinced him to do it, but then once that person convinced him, he knew he had to do it, and that's what made him do it.
Yeah, who's that somebody? Is that like a friend of his? Because they don't know what the
Who's
hell
that
you
guy,
do.
yeah?
They don't know what's
I don't-
going on with YouTube. Like,
I don't know, he just isolated. Like he's really like on his own now. Like I'm sure he has like friends in real life. I think he has like a girlfriend and everything. But in terms of like the internet, he just really made things worse for himself. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm someone who's pretty open about it, like on Twitter and shit. Like I browse 4chan. There are a lot of times where I've seen people clown on him. He's forever going to be a laughing stock on the internet. Like whenever his name comes up, and not even just unfortunate, but just in general now, because like what he's done, it's just going to be like harsh. It's going to be brutal. And like he's someone like I stood up for before. Like people said, like like Scott Flies to my friend. Like I can't do that now because again, I feel like our friendship was fucking built on a lie. I just can't understand why someone would do that to themselves.
yeah, I remember when you first told me that. Like, I was in one of his. What the hell? Who is that? I don't even know this man. What is he using me for? And you were like defending. He was like, nah, he's my friend. Ay.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Scott Fly.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the first and last time we talk about him on the podcast.
Oh, for sure. Like I'm moving on from the chapter.
Yeah, I just needed to vent. That's it. Like, I just heard too much stupidity to not say something. So
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over that last topic. We're gonna cover that in another one. But anyway, I do want to thank Vox and SliceOfOtaku for coming out. Like I said,
sure.
you know, Shadow and I are growing. You know,
Mm.
so it's pretty cool. It's really cool that you hopped onto the first one and also this one. We also, and I just kind of want to say, because we're gonna be putting this one out before another one. If something we set, because we didn't do like the Sonic Boom thing. We're going to be doing that in the next podcast episode because this was like something that it needed to be its own thing, like the whole Scout Fly situation. So it might be a little out of order, but it'll make sense for the most part.
This is technically episode 4, but we're releasing it as episode 3, and we're moving episode 3 to episode 4. So we basically just flipped them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But besides that, make sure to check out Slice of Otaku if you haven't. He does a lot of Steven Universe and Star Versus content. And although I don't really watch Star Versus as much as I should, I'm actually interested in watching some of these Steven Universe videos because I have been trying to catch up with it, watching up to about season 5 or season like halfway through season 5. I had to for like best and worst of 2017. And also make sure to follow Vox, the Roundtable, Oshrock Vox. I'll make sure to put all of their social media handles in the description below, as well as Shadow. But do you guys have anything else to say?
Just thank you for having me on again. Like, just thank you for letting me put everything I have to say out there. And
yeah, of course.
I feel like we had a really great conversation, like all of us. So I'm really glad that this happened.
This was cool, man. This was really cool. I like that this is the first time we're like speaking to each other, and it was just all natural, and it was just a good conversation all around. So great time.
All right, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next podcast. I hope your time's well spent, and Alpha out.